All right. We should be live here. So, what's up, folks? This is Fight Club 2024, and we are in the semifinals. We've got Mr. Muntal. This is a team of Abraham, Charlie, Eli, Colin, I believe. We've got SBT, which we're looking at, I think it's Lost Geek, Tuno. Let me just look at the teams. Lost Geek, Tuno, D. One more. Where are we at? Cable Carnage. Stacked teams here. And they, obviously they should be because we are in the semifinals. So I'm going to do a quick check on the teams just to make sure that we are ready to go. Looks like we're going to be about 5 minutes late, but that's plenty of time for me to talk about the actual deck lists. Let me first go ahead and share the stream link to here we go. Just to the folks in Discord, and I'm going to say a few things about just this whole Fight Club experience because it's been super cool. Okay, things about just this whole fight. So, Fight Club, super cool experience. We have all of these teams put together. Some testing teams put forth, a couple of teams, a couple of people that weren't really in a team, I think just got together and, joined this Fight Club here. We're in the semifinals right now. So we're down to 4 teams, right? We've got a team representing from Unbanned, New World Order with a hard or soft. We've got Mr. Muntal from Muntal Boast, and SBT. These are like just awesome teams, awesome players. Everybody probably recognizes their name or two on each of these teams because they are stacked. So first up, we've got Lost Geek on. Let me pop into the actual deck lists here. All right, so we've got Lost Geek playing NEH and Sable. And Santa is playing Lat versus Ag Infusion here. And these are going to be some fascinating games. If I look at the matchups, right, I think either of the matchups could swing either direction, right? I think, Lost Geek is very well trained in this sort of like, NEH, Amani Sinai, artificial crypto crash, kind of like Bladder Ward Wage Workers type of deck, right? And it can really snowball out of control. If I'm Charlie in this game, I'm really thinking about, if I'm Charlie in this game, they're picking size right now. If I'm Charlie, I'm playing NEH here. I'm really thinking the only thing that cannot happen is that I can't get blown out from crypto crash and Amani Sinai. So, you may want to look into trying to duck, the first Amani Sinai trigger, maybe, or the first crypto crash, maybe hope there's not an Amani on the board, but with 3 of them on the table or 3 in the deck list, it's pretty likely that could happen here. Or, you can try to get your Parisha out early and just make sure that you can clear the Amani Sinai's right away, because that's really devastating if you get a Fermenter bounced. You get an early daily cast bounce. It's absolutely brutal. There's an interesting synergy here with Pantograph in Amani Sinai where, let's say you get a Fermenter bounce, but it's coming right back down for free from Pantograph. Interestingly, like this win condition within, Lat here is all about Deep Dave. You'll see that there's a single Hannah in this list, which is going to be super important for an extra click a turn, checking assets. And, once Charlie hopefully finds it somewhat early, goes for like a deep dive run, then maybe he can pop off trying to score, 5 points to be able to round it out. But I think that matchup is really anyone's game. If I'm looking at Ag Infusion and the Sable matchup, this is a fascinating game, right? Ag Infusion is on Punitive Counterstrike, Progenesis, Fuji, bacterial programming, right? And the big, power, swing here is YDL. So let's say they, Sable wants to run archives because that's what they do, picks up a bacterial, and all of a sudden +7 cards in hand, and it's, YDL and double punitive for the win. So this is going to be a really delicate game for Lost Geek to be able to pilot around. And the goal here for Ag Infusion is to put the runner in forks, right? I'm going to install Advance, an agenda in the remote in hopes that they have to go for it, right? So it's really important to be able to put the runner in a lose-lose situation in that case. I've played this Ag Infusion deck a bit, and what can actually happen is you just kind of get some bad draws, right? You maybe draw your agendas too early. You don't draw enough money. And in that situation, Sable needs to really capitalize, right? Really, really, really capitalize. But no doubt they've all been practicing these matchups for a ton of reps. So we're going to see some just top tier piloting. And I think this is really going to come down to the heart of the cards here. Like who gets the sort of good draw, who can respond to, the board state in a way. And it's going to be some high caliber play. So I'm going to check to see where we're at. Someone's telling me to check Discord. Who is? Oh, Oxu is potentially coming on here. Let me go ahead and check on some things before we start. Okay, 5 minutes to set up here. Yeah, I can give you a call in Oxu and you can join it. I think OBS should be ready to just pull you into voice. Checking the Fight Club server just to see where we're at. Popping. Oh, look at that. They're waiting for me. Okay. And with that, I think we should be good to go. Let me go ahead and try to call Oxu in. Gotta love that Discord call sound.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Welcome.
Can you hear me?
Well, I can hear you just fine.
All right, let's go.
Fantastic. Hey, can someone confirm in chat that we can hear Oxu as well?
Yeah, not the classic daily cast start 15 minutes before anybody can hear me.
Oh, we're doing this live. We'll figure it out. All right. Heck yeah. Let's do this thing.
So there's no password, right? Yep.
All right. We're starting off with a exciting Ag Infusion versus Sable list here. So Oxu, tell me, if you're sitting across the table from Ag Infusion as Sable in this game, what's going through your head? What are you thinking about in terms of, hands, starting hands? What kinds of things do you want to see? What kinds of things do you not want to see from the corp on turn one?
It's punitive Ag Infusion, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, I think you want to find those class acts pretty early, but I'm not sure if you want it in your opening hand. Probably just easy money, disruption to stop the corporation from actually setting up. I think that's what you want here at first. Double eyes makes it a bit tough to interact with the corporation at all, though.
And there we go. That's that double ice.
Yeah, maybe go and check one and hope it's not the Seisentan. But that might be a pretty bold call to make here.
All right, first free run on archives. So I was saying before we started the stream, archives runs can be absolutely dangerous. So I'm expecting Lost Geek to be able to play this really carefully once there's some face downs in archives.
Yeah, I think we saw Lost Geek play against Jonold last week with the Restoring Humanity version of this deck. And Lost Geek was really patient in running archives, actually saving that until he had 4 or 6 points. So he knew when he could win. And there often is one agenda just sitting there. So when you get to game point, the game can be sealed straight there.
Absolutely. Now, getting an ice on archives is actually quite huge, right? Sable's big econ engine is that, Sable needs to make runs here. So Lost Geek is thinking, now I just got to start digging for my value econ cards. We see a daily cast on the table early, which is huge, but not being able to get some runs going here is going to be a big tempo loss to just Sable being able to set up.
Yeah, you probably need something like Chesve to actually make these runs profitable at this point.
Classic, wrong list on screen. Good call.
And Paladin actually pretty early here. That's super nice to get. Just fueling your econ for the long game. And Lost Geek, like, really fundamentally just drawing up every turn. It's super easy to, like, not draw as a criminal, where your infection draw is kind of weak. Sometimes, so you end up with no cards in hand, but Lost Geek managing that fine.
Nope, that's wrong.
Click one draw. I wonder what Charlie actually drew here to think about. Second click draw?
That makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
Getting the value here. So if I'm Charlie, I'm thinking... Well, actually, let me ask you, Oxy, what are you thinking about in terms of pacing of this deck list when you're trying to... When to build a remote? I understand Regenesis, you really want to start threatening early, but as I understand it, right, you also want to get your Regolith down and really start hammering some assets. So what are you thinking about timing of creating a server?
I think it really depends on the matchup. Like, there are these decks that just ruin your long game. Like, you cannot fight Mori in the long game at all. You cannot fight Control Lat. You cannot fight probably even like Malchoshiko. But I think Criminal is one of those matchups where you are kind of happy to just sit back and wait until Criminal just loses all the value out of the deck. So I think this will take some time to actually get that remote set up. And probably even then we will see like one ice to just force interaction.
Yeah, that's right. And we see the 1x Paladin hitting the table early, which is just, when I talk about the sort of value over time, that's huge. Interestingly, Lost Geek saying, hey, I actually don't want to use Paladin this turn on that install, shows me that maybe there's a twinning in hand, trying to save some counters to start building up twinning counters.
Yeah, could be, or just Lost Geek not having anything mandatory to install here. You probably don't need your other breakers down if you have maybe run-based econ in hand only.
Yeah, another
I
thing,
don't think you want to go in and with 4 credits and jump into a Sisentan or something where you are kind of have to break it.
Absolutely. I mean, there's not a chance Lost Geek's making a run anytime soon. I think Glosky's probably going to be needing to react to the corp this game, right? So really waiting for that opportunity to seize a moment. And if I'm Charlie here, I'm also thinking, as long as Hermes is not down, right? It's just going to be I'm going to feel so much better as the runner, right? I mean, I think a Hermes turn can really turn things around, create some openings. So I think, Charlie's probably ecstatic that it hasn't either been drawn yet, but, he's drawn a lot of cards here, 9 sitting in hand from that class act draw, so we'll see if it comes down. It's not going to take immediate value, right? I don't expect agendas to be scored or stolen anytime soon, but that is certainly going to be a pivotal card in this matchup.
Yeah, it would still mandate Charlie to double ice central servers. If you don't double ice, one Hermes bounce can basically win the game sometimes.
And there we go, our first remote.
Do we see a card in there? Yeah, we do. Do you think this would be too early for an agenda push? It might be Regenesis, but it feels kind of early for that.
It does. I think these punitive decks largely want to be drawing just tons of cards. They want to make sure that they have the punitive on lock to be able to start pushing here. So I'm expecting maybe a Rashida, could be a Regolith, could be even a Spin Doctor to just potentially bait a run. But I would be surprised if he's already pushing a Regenesis. But we'll find out. Here we go.
All right, going HQ. Vampironasa would be the punish here. Or Athene, maybe. Oh, it Lost Geek just has 2 credits, though. So it could be pretty awful here, jumping straight into Anansi.
Be a huge res.
No instant res, so maybe a Tattoo Bola, just Charlie thinking about racing here. What don't you super instant res here?
Yeah, that's a good question. So many of the ice is probably just snap res.
Yeah, I would assume so, especially with 2 credits. Like my call would be Tattoo Bola here, but it's really hard to know.
Mm-hmm.
The deck did not. Yeah, no res, interestingly.
Okay, we get. Oh, actually, chat's not showing up on stream. That's a problem.
Just your digital life. So one part of the kill combo of the deck has been found, but still needs 1 or 2 punitives. Preferably, probably 2, especially with Sable being able to jump into 9 cards in hand pretty easily.
Fascinating on that res, or rather lack of res there. I think that could have been a big punish, and I'm fascinated to see what that ice is. And now, if I'm Lost Geek, what am I thinking?
I think you kind of wonder if HQ is basically just free runs here. I think Charlie probably reses every scary ice in the deck at that point, so you probably are kind of free to just run HQ.
Right, yeah, you gotta assume Tattoo Bola, and then, you res Tattoo Bola without other ice in hand, you're just absolutely open for, a big doof immediately afterwards. So I think this is that moment that I mentioned is Sable needed to capitalize and find that moment, and I think we just found it, right? Bursting up from 4 to 13 with 2 clicks.
But can we actually manage to jump into server 1 here? Letting Charlie actually res a scary ice could be pretty scary, with HQ actually becoming a threatening server. Or just a brand.
Just a brand.
Although this costs so many credits. Kurupira as a breaker for this brands is not what you really want to see, but Criminal kind of doesn't have any other options, really.
Yep. And if I'm, Charlie here, resing that brand on the remote, I mean, that's where you want to see it. It's a 1x in the deck. And it really makes that remote punishing. And Charlie's going to want to drag the runner through that remote just to be able to, largely threaten Regenesis out of that server just time and time again. And it's going to be very challenging for Lost Geek. So he's, again, going to have to time that Regenesis perfectly and be able to call the right install on that server.
Yeah. Only benefit here for Lost Geek is that it's actually not a scary ice to be booped into.
Yep, absolutely.
So, again, fusion ability not that threatening at the moment.
All right, clicks the install.
And just discarding the Miss Bones. Probably not worth it during this matchup. 2 credits to get like 3 credits of value is not too good. But Lost Geek started around with like 5 credits, I believe. So
I think ended that turn
with a sizable increase.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah, started with 4 credits. Huge swing. Got a breaker down. I think Lost Geek's probably pretty feeling good about that last turn there.
Yeah, Charlie. I wonder what the server 1 could be. It's not a Rashida, so it's not so insta-popped. Yeah, Charlie just thinking about the line here.
Yeah, there's a hedge and a YDL in hand, so I suspect we're going to get a hedge played. But
yeah, maybe if it's a Regolith, you just don't want to open it yet and use 3 clicks for 1 turn with it. So you just want to like install here.
Yeah, I
Maybe
suspect if
install
I'm
ice on HQ.
Charlie, yeah, that would be the thing that I'd care about is really try to look for an ice on HQ. Something big, something nasty.
Yeah, Anansi or Vampironas or something like that
Hmm.
would be huge here.
And getting that early Carmen down just really takes the teeth off of this deck, right? It's yes, it's nasty. The Ag Infusion boobs can be crushing, but with the Carmen down, you're kind of feeling okay, right? It's we're looking at 6 credits to break in Anansi and 3 credits for Zeiss and Tan. So sitting at 13 credits in a breaker down, Lost Geek's probably feeling okay and potentially can even slow down a little bit at times, but is probably feeling even better to be able to start applying some pressure here. So Charlie's going to need to respond from that last turn.
Yeah, probably just thinking about the line here. Oh, just drawing up still. Maybe flooded in somewhat or in some capacity.
I think that says I need to draw an ice right now.
Yeah, maybe. Other option is that Charlie is just looking for something to actually push on server 1. Server 1 could be something like just as some upgrade. I think there's just Anotic Voids in the deck. Or is there like Adrian says or something?
Yeah, deck list here is we're looking at. I just pulled it away from the stream. We've got a couple of upgrades rather. Notably, 1 Adrian says and 3 Void.
Oh, 3 Void.
Mm-hmm.
So server 1 could be like Adrian says that is just installed there to make Lost Geek interacts with the deck and basically interact as a free thing to install there. I think everything else you probably just use during this turn.
I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream here, I think before folks had joined on, but I've commented that this Ag Infusion list can have some really clunky draws, right? If you either don't draw your econ, you draw your agendas too early, not enough ice, it can feel really clunky. And I don't think we've seen a Rashida yet, which would have been, monumental. We've seen a couple of high-powered, sort of econ cards with Hansei Review and hedge funds. But, not seeing Rashida this early is pretty crushing for Ag Infusion. You really need to depend on that fairly early to get a good sort of card advantage, get your combo pieces, and there's that HQ ice.
Oh, at least HQ gets iced. Although, if Lost Geek just runs HQ and you rest something like Anansi, you just have 4 credits left. And that's not a place you really want to be, though.
Whoa, verbal?
Oh,
Yo,
verbal.
I didn't notice this in the list.
Huh?
There's 2
Discount
of them.
Earthrise.
Fantastic.
Yeah, verbal, like, Lost Geek has been, like, drawing with 2 clicks every turn, so Lost Geek kind of just gets 1 extra click to use during the turns here.
I mean, it makes sense in Sable. That's great.
Yeah, totally. Also interacts really nicely with the class act, getting those triple.
There we go. All the draw, daily gas. That's going to really push Lost Geek to the mid game here. And seeing those 3 installs and a couple of draws, Charlie's got to be thinking, right? That's going to apply some pressure. 5 credits ticking in. We got some breakers on the table.
Suspect 12 credits looks like some amount, but it actually ends up going away pretty quickly after you actually have to rest some ice. It
can go
1.5 ice maybe.
And he's got that additional redundant ice on HQ. So, Charlie has to play around diversion of funds, and having that second ice, we suspect the inner ice is potentially Tattoo Bola. So basically got one doof to be able to dodge here.
Do we see Charlie just drawing up again during the turn? Nothing yet. Maybe has some different line in hand. Maybe it's actually pushing on something on server 1. Just make Lost Geek run through that Bran sometime. Like even
not a
getting
bad
through
idea.
Bran once is such a huge credit swing.
Yeah, that's a good call. I do think taking another turn off here, gives Lost Leak even more turn time to potentially draw, upwards to 5 cards, right? Install a couple of things. I think taking a turn off might give Lost Geek a little bit more space. But I don't know if Charlie here has the credit pool to be able to make any plays without overextending.
Yeah, if you try to do something on server 1 and Lost Geek just runs R&D, hits an agenda or something, bounces what you're doing on server 1, it's pretty massive.
Mm-hmm. Notably, Hermes isn't down yet, but it's imminent with that much draw on the table.
I think there probably is going to be one pretty soon on the table.
Are you a betting man, Aksu? I'm curious if what do you think is in archives here?
Two hand server and one hedge fund. That I can say with certainty.
Sure. Is there a bacteria, or rather a Fuji, in archives?
I don't think so. I think it's too early to do that with Agin Fusion. Agin Fusion typically, I feel like, uses the punitive combo as a deterrent more than an actual win condition. So, you're pretty okay to actually run archives often early game against Agin Fusion with the 49 cards and losing stuff. And using Agin Fusion just has 3 punitives, 2 YDL. So the full combo is super not consistent compared to Restoring Humanity.
We're having a big long think here from Charlie.
Yeah, I wonder what's going through his mind here. Just drawing up again with the first click.
Mm-hmm. I think that makes sense.
Seems like a consistent thing that's happening. Just clicking for draw more than the criminal has done for this entire game, basically. I really wonder what we're trying to find here. Is it just that Charlie doesn't have anything to do on server 1?
I think that's
not
likely
drawing any
it.
Rashidas, not drawing any Regolets.
Mm-hmm. There's only 5 in the deck, but I think even a Spin Doctor would probably be fine, right? Just something to create some action in server 1.
Yeah, even a Spin Doctor even is better than clicking for this draw share. Your digital life just raw. That's basically a hedge fund here. But yeah, 16 is so much more consistent actually to straighten out something.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't hate that play. I mean, I think Lost Geek is really, really threatening a pretty serious board state here. And Charlie really needs to res some ice if he does start pressuring. Snap click right off the bat, just Dr. Nuka.
Yeah, just getting those draws.
Oh, there it is. Click 2, verbal.
Oh.
And there it is, Shibboleth coming down. The full breaker suite rig. And there it is, wanting to get some runs in. Oh, declines to use the run. I think that's...
declines to run.
Declines. Gets rid of the, additional Kurapira. So last click, 5 cards drawn between verbal and Dr. Nuka. Take that, Nambo.
Then actually having double breakers, so safety cards, I guess. Not running there is interesting. I think like typically we would see a run here. Just
yeah,
like
but you gotta
getting
assume
one extra click.
there's potentially a a Nancy or something big on the outside there. In an outermost res on HQ gives Ag Infusion fuel to just be able to boop whatever. Right?
Yeah, I think it could be that you really want to run, but what does the run actually achieve? Basically, you can find one single card, and you just spend more money than you're actually getting.
Right. So this is interesting, right? Install server 1, install server 2. Now, as an Ag Infusion player, here in this case, server 2 is very likely a Spin Doctor. And, if Spin Doctor's on the table, potentially an agenda in archives and something in server 1 just screams play pattern of, install Regenesis. We got Void. Last turn, there was that additional install on the remote, potentially, making it harder to steal that Regenesis. So I think Charlie is basically putting the play patterns out on the table of threatening a Regenesis score, safe with the Spin Doctor on the table, and say, your move. What are you going to do here, Lost Geek?
Yeah, interestingly, we didn't see any extra face downs going in archives, so the agenda would have just sitting there for the entire time if this is the Regenesis line. Oh, just going in.
Yep, there it is.
And Lost Geek just has enough money to not get double punitived, and we see the Class Act actually going down.
Yeah, exactly. Class Act's going to draw up to 4. Absolutely safe from punitive here this turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think only thing we see here is maybe Tatubola on this ice, and then YDL punitive could reach there if there's a like Rashida also on table. Oh, just an Atini. Costs more for the corporation than the runner here. But just for this one time. And later on, even when Shibboleth actually gets to the weakened state, it starts costing so many credits.
Oh, yeah.
And what do we find in here?
Now Charlie has to have a big thing.
Oh, Spin Doctor getting used.
Yep. Notably, if, let's say, hypothetically, server 1 is Rashida, right? Charlie can spin back the YDL, maybe has a punitive or 2 in hand, pop another, like pull out a Rashida. Let's say there's a Fuji in the bin. Or not even Fuji, a bacterial. But with, the problem here is that with the Class Act on the table, Lost Geek's going to start at 8. So we would need triple punitive in hand. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 9 cards. So there's almost not a chance, this can happen. Or at least like punitive next turn. So
I think if you can get bacterial plus something else, you can line up the double punitive. But
double, yep, didn't think about that.
Yeah, sometimes the bacterial just misses though, and I don't think Charlie's a player that just goes for it randomly.
2 unseens shuffled back. Notably, that means one of the 2 YDLs is going to remain in the bin until the next Spin Doctor comes out.
Yeah, I would assume if Charlie plays the one YDL, the other one is safely in hand, just waiting. You really want to hold one at least, I believe.
And there's the twinning coming down, 9 cards in hand. And once a turn, we're going to be seeing Paladin charging up the twinning.
I get those multi-access from HQ especially are so great here. In HQ, you cannot even line up like double kills or anything.
Notably, none of the diversions of funds have been played. Additionally, I think if I'm Lost Geek here, I'm going to be thinking about, well, let's draw that turbine, which there is one of in the deck. And then
there's turbine in the deck?
There's a single turbine, which really eats up the ice. And then secondly, getting a Chesva down. Once you have Chesva down, you are guaranteed to be able to get a twinning counter a turn during those runs, right? So Hermes,
Yeah, Chesva and
J2CP,
Turbine is.
Chesva is going to really round out this sort of like runner deck here to really apply the pressure. So if I'm Charlie, I'm probably not loving this board state at this moment.
Yeah. Although Turbine, interestingly, is not super backbreaking into some of the Agin Vision eyes. Like Carmen still breaks Anansi for 5. It just really matters for the code gates and the Bran with Kurupira interaction. I think mostly.
All right, Charlie playing.
Maybe another spinner threatening the punitive kill again and or Genesis score again.
Mm-hmm. Interesting turn there.
Yeah, like clearing archives actually doesn't really do anything if Charlie just draws or saves the agendas here. Like Charlie just sets up exactly the same threat as last turn, but has way more credits here. So actually threatens out the kill way more.
Right, and Lost Geek has played 2 of their 3 class acts so far, which I think that's going to be a really important card to keep an eye on. I'm assuming Lost Geek is going to want to hold all 3.
Yeah, I would assume the last one gets popped in as a reaction.
Now, I just hit Control F, started smashing that enter button because we haven't seen a Rashida all game, and that is just got to be so crushing for Charlie right now. An early, Rashida can start chaining them into Rashidas and really get you those value pieces to really apply the pressure. And not seeing that this game, I think, is reflected here in Charlie's current board state.
Oh, and Hermes coming down. That's actually like if Charlie goes and scores the Genesis out next turn, R&D is quite open. And does Lost Geek run something? Does Lost Geek go R&D here? Could be an option.
No,
if you see Lost 3 Geek, cards and
I think an archives run is not safe, and I like this play. Just keep moneying up. Now you want to be able to really hold back and try to go for those twinning digs either on HQ, potentially on R&D. If you snipe a single Regenesis, that's huge, right? Because then all of a sudden you can take away the 6-point swing and potentially the double punitive or single punitive in that fact, right? So Lost Geek's really hoping to just get a single agenda at some point. And
Charlie not actually instant scoring Regenesis here, so could just not be Regenesis here. Although might just be thinking about the line again because of the R&D eyes might be getting bounced here. Or maybe HQ's top eyes, because we know the second eyes on HQ is not that threatening here. Exchanging turns to think here. So do you actually think that Regenesis is on server 1?
I think it's fair to say. I mean, that the last turn of server 1 and then Spin Doctor as the new sort of server 2 that is now gone, I think just completely signals it was Regenesis.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call to make here.
So, Aksu, if you're in this game, there's the Spin Doctor, and there they go. Okay, I was just going to ask, would you be scoring a Regenesis here?
I think you kind of have to. You cannot let the Lost Geek just maybe steal the server 1 agenda here. But R&D eyes getting bounced here is quite massive.
Right. Interestingly, this Spin Doctor res probably meant I don't want the Spin Doctor to be bounced, But now it puts Charlie in a pretty interesting position, right? You got to get rid of 4 cards. R&D is, now wide open. And so if I'm Lost Geek, I'm probably running that Spin Doctor click 1 just to shuffle all the stuff back into R&D, which is now wide open.
Yeah, and we have just seen 2 agendas out of the 9 in the deck, or 9 or 8 might be. But still, so many agendas left in R&D or HQ, so...
That's right, yeah. Notably, Charlie here is scoring Fuji, which is the best, agenda to score on Regenesis at this point. You really want to leave the doors open for Bacterial to be scored, which, creates more YDL, well, although 2 in the bin at this point, but just creates more possibilities for Econ card and then double punitive.
Yeah, Bacterial is such a great agenda.
Another notable here is Shibboleth is now, we've hit threat 4. So Shibboleth is now at, strength 1 and will remain there until Turbine or K2CP hits the table.
So you get to break Amperonassus for like million credits or something.
Exactly. I am not wanting to run into an Antini until that, Turbine comes down.
Yeah, and even with Turbine, it's still 5 credits to break an Antini.
I believe so.
Yeah, and 5 credits for Antini, 6 credits for Vampronasa, just making those numbers so much more frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Although your other criminal option is like Cat's Cradle, and I don't think anyone is disputing that Shibboleth is just straight up better than Cat's Cradle. Other option could be, of course, like having something like an Amino, but dropping that down for 6 more credits than Shibboleth. I can totally understand everybody going just for the easy option.
It's a big ask, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eli,
I'm still just drawing up first click.
Could you show archives here is really interesting, right? We've only seen, 5 played cards in archives and just some money econ cards, and that's it. And now we're seeing 5 additional face downs. Yeah, click 1, hitting that verbal. Obviously, Lost Geek is going to want to do that every turn.
Yeah, I think you just maybe run out of cards if you don't consistently just keep on drawing. And
there it is. I'm really curious about why no Spin Doctor run initially.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe Lost Geek needs the rest of the clicks here. With you drawing up, you still have two extra cards, and if you don't want to discard anything, you might maybe just need everything in hand.
Mm-hmm. And maybe Lost Geek doesn't want to steal 2 agendas, right? Just wants to poke, maybe hopefully find 1. I don't know what the strategy there is of not running the Spin Doctor.
It's just...
huge.
Oh, that's an excellent point here.
Huge.
The last card on the dig. And we see a bounce here. Is it the HQ Ice?
Lost Geek, I'm probably remembering that first run on HQ. And would be curious about running, or at least bouncing, the outermost ice on HQ. But I don't know if I'm running here again, right? Stealing a 3-pointer opens up double punitive.
Yeah, that's true. I think maybe something like... Even bouncing HQ Ice is still 1 credit of tax in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better than just not doing anything. If you have doofing.
Okay. Really putting the pressure on here.
I wonder which ice Lost Geek actually bounced here. Was it the weaker one that Charlie just freely could bounce out? Or was it the top ice or was the lower ice? So Charlie actually has to think about this reason here. If you res an Atini and get then diversion of funds, you're basically on 0 credits here.
Yeah, absolutely giga brain here. we had called the innermost Tattoo Bola or something small early on, put a bigger piece of ice earlier in the game. Notably, he bounced, Lost Geek here, bounced the innermost ice, the Tattoo Bola. So
Oh yeah.
absolutely calling, look, you've got 12 credits, res that Anansi, I'll dupe you down to 0. And if not, I'm going to, alternatively,
Yeah,
like,
it's still Anansi gone from the deck.
yep,
Just
Anansi is
one
gone.
great piece of
And then you're just
action
left
ice
with
is
that
really-
Tattoo Bola sitting in hand. Absolutely huge play. If I'm Charlie here, I don't think you can res and get doofed. I mean, I suspect you've got to do the boop. Back to a teeny.
Yeah,
and
going
it's
to
going to
zero
cost
is
them
so
some serious cash. That's going to be a 7 cost if Lost Geek wants to break it all.
Yeah, I wonder if you have to break it all. If your hand is just like reasonable cards that you don't mind to losing, you can just eat the damage here also.
Yes. Another thing that I'm looking at here is the mark is archives. So if you boop into archives, yeah, you lose 7, but you're going to get another click to be able to run HQ.
Yeah, you
obviously
could also just lose.
5 cards in archives is a big risk, but
Yeah.
it could be the pivotal risk that maybe Lost Geek's willing to take and could give Charlie the potential here to sneak something out.
Oh, we see res on the Anansi.
Wow, sees the res. Okay, Charlie's wanting to click some credits.
I wonder what's going through Charlie's mind here. Is it just like Anansi just still keeps the HQ kind of safe? And maybe Charlie has a way to bounce out from these low credit totals here. Something like install Rashida on server 1 still makes Lost Geek interact and makes Lost Geek use money, while Charlie can still click for credits on those pivotal turns.
Yeah, that's a really good call. If there's a single Rashida, and by now there better be, just, slam that into server 1 and pray. There it is. Yep. Okay. In that case, I can see the res making sense.
And R&D is not free to run. You still can get like infusion booped. But still Lost Geek got so many credits out of the Paladin Poem here. There's so many credits on Lost Geek side compared to Charlie. So I think you maybe can just run archives here as well. Just make sure that you don't lose to any silly business with maybe getting some credits and scoring at the Genesis.
Okay, 1 YDL, 1 unseen.
Yeah, Lost Geek might be just really wants to find the turbine before interacting with this table and just get those twinning counters. Or boomerang? Yeah, that saves some money on breaking. Oh, installs boomerang on archives and runs R&D.
That's right. Yep. Doesn't want to pay the 7.
So smart.
Says, I can take it, single
Yeah, go ahead.
little bit of net damage, no worries.
Yo, that's so smart.
We're looking at only 3 credits with the Chesva if you want to boop into a Nancy here. So, once Lost Geek set up, I think a lot of the ice is not as scary in this mid to late game.
Yeah, like Chesva is so many credits during the game. Also, just getting those twinning counters if you can't charge Paladin Poem anymore. We see the bounce.
We see it. You got to assume it was something like Tattoo Bola or something that was.
Yeah, I would assume
you would just never res it. I think that was. It's just something that had to happen.
Yeah.
I don't see a value there.
Oh, look, the pinhole threading. I think that's the card Lost Geek really wanted to keep here there.
I'm not Sure. I mean, at this board
If you're
state.
pinholstering the 0-1 Rashida, that's probably there.
Oh, fair, yeah.
But could still have another one. We can see a draw. Don't think we have drawn yet this turn.
Okay, so we see some ice here. Saisaton, yep, with that early Carmen, not that great. Vampire Nasa at this board state, very, very expensive. Oh,
One
we
steals
see
the Fuji.
steals the Fuji.
So yeah, 0-1 card going back to hand.
Yep,
No Rashida.
double doof.
Oh, just loses both doofs.
Oh man, I think Charlie might feel pretty upset potentially not resing that Rashida before access. I would have made that play 10 out of 10 times. I probably would have never remembered to res there.
It also just could not be a Rashida though. It could be something that bluffs a Rashida. Like, it still is totally valid that Charlie just hasn't found anything. And
yeah, your 6 influence for punitive Counter-Strike is now largely probably going to be discarded, right? I think at this point.
Yeah, I would assume so.
It's looking dire, especially with Turbine hitting the table. I don't know if there's much else that Charlie could do here.
Yeah, it feels so demotivating to having to actually throw out your punitive. It feels like your whole win condition is just gone in the wind.
Now, I think the only line that Charlie's thinking about now is, hoping this Rashida can fire, first of all. Secondly, there was a YDL that was shuffled back in. So on this Rashida fire, if it happens, of course, you're hoping to see, YDL. Oh, Sadaka, huge. Sadaka. Absolutely huge.
Yeah. We're seeing that winning going.
Notably, there's 2 in the list. So, expertly, I think it hasn't been pitched yet. Probably bottomed on a class act draw. And with verbal on the table, I'm sure it can wheel quickly back into Lost Geek's hand.
Yeah, but it will give Charlie just some breathing room when these multi-accesses are not hammering R&D. Do you see any other option going? I don't think Rat or Verbal just don't hit the same here. Oh, also getting the rearrange from the Sadaka, so just making sure that he's safe during this access. Yep, there goes winning. But Lost Geek still gets the click and the free access here. And we're just drawing up. Maybe playing some Econ event here. Or if Lost Geek can find the second pinhole threading. No, doesn't seem like it.
All right, we're going to need a huge Rashida here. Potentially draw YDL.
Yeah, I think YDL is your saving grace here. It lets you at least do something. Like YDL install ISON R&D, install something on 0-1. I think that's the turn you really need here to actually bounce back in.
Absolutely. And we can't forget that, there's 3 Anoetic Voids. There's an Adrian Seiss here. At 4-4, I think Charlie does have some lines here, right? Obviously, Lost Geek at 16 credits, but and with the Turbine on the table, it's now a lot cheaper to get through this ice. But there could be a window where Charlie could potentially have enough credits and cards to be able to advance, and potentially keep Lost Geek out for a few turns.
It's cheaper, but it's still 6 credits with Kurupira to go through the Bran. It's not like it's just 2 credits or 4 credits that it would be with a cleaver.
I'll show the deck list here, but you're right. Losing that pinhole could have been massive for this game.
Yeah, I don't think maybe Lost Geek doesn't then have a need to actually go through, and maybe just also has the diversion of funds in hand. Obviously a pivot.
Right. We're seeing the pivot for YDL.
Yeah, I think pivot YDL. Yeah. But still, just 7 credits. It's not a huge amount. Do we see an install on server 1? Just trying to build some forward momentum? I don't think so. I think Charlie would probably have blasted it already.
Yeah, I'm really curious what Charlie's thinking about in terms of what ice needs to be installed on the table. You know, obviously a wide open R&D is dicey. Oh, there it goes, protecting R&D. Yeah,
I wonder if this is a ice Charlie can afford dressing though. We have seen Charlie just placing down this like temporary ice, just using those Infusion boobs here. Oh, and the second twinning coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Going HQ this time? And
Adrian trashes it.
I think the list has had one Adrian says, right? So you cannot combine that with Fanatic Void at least.
So that means server 1 has to be an Anoinic Void.
Yeah, interestingly, Anoinic Void was installed with the brand on like turn 2 or 3. And it has been just sitting there for the entire time.
Yeah, it's a good question, Eli. The question in chat here is, how much econ does a Sable actually have? You know, there's 12 credits, but do they have the ability to keep going?
Yeah, Lost Geek has played like 3 fetch for 3 bravados already, so I think the econ is running a bit low here maybe. There is probably still 1 daily cast, still Carpe Diem left.
1 daily cast, 1 Carpe Diem. Oh, Info Bounty never hit the table. That's fascinating.
Well, that would have given Lost Geek so much money during the game.
Yeah,
but sometimes it just is your last card and you really cannot do anything about it.
I'm not actually sure how many times, you know, Lost Geek has actually ran and hit his mark. Been a few cases where I remember that being relevant, but could have potentially pulled up 4 or 6 credits this game.
The hedge fund here is super nice, actually being on 12 credits. Being able to rest something and still threaten out with server 1. And I think this even could be like the Regenesis push here, just like basically hoping that Lost Geek doesn't run archives. Because
that's fascinating. Yep.
Yes, like sometimes Lost Geek just doesn't see the threat and doesn't run archives because it costs so much money. And you kind of get away scot-free but if it of course is kind of a last Hail Mary situation here.
Mm-hmm.
More reasonable line probably would be something like Rashid, just pushing out that value, pushing the tempo forward here.
Very likely, but I hadn't considered second Regenesis as a line.
Yeah, I think it's a bit high, like high variance.
High variance. There's 2 Spin Doctors out too, and I suspect that might, the problem I have piloting this deck is it's just so obvious when you're threatening, something in the server because you install the second or another server with the Spin Doctor. So it just absolutely signals. But I think Charlie has probably seen the second or rather third Regenesis line and could be going for it as a last-ditch effort. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to blast it without the security Spin Doctor there.
Yep.
Like the Spin Doctor actually just makes it so you typically just cannot score anymore with like the runs on opponent just running the Spin Doctor.
Big Vampire and Asa res, costing 4 from the credit pool and 2 from Chesva.
Double access. Game's not over yet. And 8 credits left on Lost Geek's credit pool.
And there's a Paladin tick-in, which I think the only target here is going to be Boomerang and the 3rd daily cast.
Yeah. Oh, Info Bounty coming down. That's
Info
going
bounty.
to be some money.
Okay.
Yeah, Lost Geek just making sure, just fast to check this.
Keeping them honest. Double punitive.
It's not there.
As
that's
expected.
I give up on this win condition. I don't want to use it anymore.
Yep.
But
fascinating board state now. Look at all that ice. Just huge ice staring down Lost Geek here. No Rashida res is unfortunate here.
Yeah, it could just be a second Anotic Void placed on the server. Just threaten out the Red Genesis win, especially. It still is like 5 credits out of the Athene run. And I think Lost Geek just had to respect the Red Genesis maybe being on server 1.
Charlie probably taking a big think here. Oh, maybe not. Suspect this is a really interesting. Not in server 1.
On the extra remote.
Fascinating. I mean that's really putting Lost Geek in a tough position. You cannot let Charlie smash, take a turn and get 9 credits. I just think that's going to be, a huge credit swing to be able to pay for things like Void, right? 2 runs on server 1, 4 credits.
Yeah, but in a vacuum that's using Regulus that way is like the least efficient way to use it, just getting those 2 actual users out of Regulus. But I think Charlie probably is fine with it, with Lost Geek being on just 6 credits here. Another line Lost Geek probably can take here also is just sitting back, charging, twinning, going for the 3 accesses on R&D and just hoping that you hit those.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure if Lost Geek can do both. Can you clear out the Regulus and still get those twinning charges?
3 credits on this board state is a big ask for Lost Geek to go trash, but I don't. Wake coming down. Okay.
I think a Career Fair, you probably would have loved to see that earlier.
I think it's potentially still relevant. Wow, Lost Geek saying smash that button.
Yeah, just leaves it on the table. So Charlie has option of going just to 18 credits here. But that 18 credits still doesn't actually threaten out win condition here. So Lost Geek has 2 turns to set up, get the Wake Implant more charges, get twinning charges, and just get like massive amounts of multi-access from R&D.
Mm-hmm.
And R&D still has like 3 agendas that win the game for Lost Geek here.
What do you think about an advance Regolith this turn?
Mm-hmm. I think that would be a pretty scary thing to do. Lost Geek would probably absolutely hate that line.
You know, but getting Regolith installed in server 4 is really fascinating. You know, we haven't seen anything, and I am betting it's probably a 5/3 in the remote. Really depends upon what the outermost ice is here. Obviously, the Ag Infusion boop to an Atini it's going to be tough for Lost Geek to go through. But we need to make seemingly 3 runs on that server. One of which is to eat an Atini, another is to go through 2 brands. That's a tough ask given where Lost Geek is standing. And if that's the line, that could seal it. I don't even know if you don't even need the Regolith here. Right? You're credit perfect for that line.
Yeah, although it is pretty scary one to do because I think Lost Geek might just have enough money to contest that remote then. But I'm not certain.
Well, to get through the brand,
it's
twice.
6 credits. Yeah.
Plus,
so would need 12.
You have to somehow handle a teeny, and maybe you just let that fire.
I think you can just take damage. You
but
can like play an econ card.
If that agenda in the remote is a Fuji, could be a net damage kill. Oh no.
Yeah, you steal it before you die.
You steal it before, yeah. Classic PE.
Yeah, if it would be Obokata, it would be a different problem, but luckily that card has been long gone. Although, like, Obokata wouldn't actually be a good agenda here with this kind of deck construction, interestingly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the really few Gene Techie decks where that is actually the case.
So we're looking at 4 agendas and score areas. We're making a guess server 1 is holding a 5/3. We're looking at 5 agendas out of the 9, which means R&D and between HQ, we're looking at 19. So, what we're looking at is 4 of 19 agendas distributed between HQ and R&D. One of those is Regenesis and doesn't win the game immediately, but really opens up Hermes bounce to be able to bounce server 1. So regardless of whether Lost Geek touches a 5/3, I think he'd also be very happy seeing the 3/1.
Yeah, finding the Regenesis also saves you some thinking that you have to do on these archives. Archives like having agendas. Makes it so Charlie actually has to score out the fairway with just normal advances. Cannot just sneak out the game.
I guess at this point we see basically the entire deck. We have the deck list, so I'm sure we can guess what all these cards are. Oh, install server 5. Gotta be there it is. Charlie sees a window and takes it. Installs Spin Doctor. Double advance. We've got Void in the remote here. Says a 5/3. Basically telling Lost Geek, do something about it. This is awesome turn. And who would have thought, given at this board state and how this game's gone, that Charlie would present a game-winning, game-threatening line like this?
I think Lost Geek might still have a pinhole turning in hand.
There's one X in the deck. And we're looking
there's
at
one?
Just one.
Oh, that's Oh, no.
Charlie's saying we both know it absolutely had to be. All right, so thinking about Lost Geek's hand, there's a daily cast sitting in there. I mean, I just don't see any other money. No other money in sight. Another career fair is out. I guess no MU, but I think second Chesva is also one of the 7 cards in hand. There's not a single draw in Lost Geek's deck in hand that probably makes sense here. Yeah, if I'm Lost Geek, I'm probably thinking, no way am I getting into that server. Hermes has to be the line here, right? So if that's the case, that install of Wake a couple turns ago might do wonders, right?
Got enough you still get 1 extra access here.
You could, run a Nancy twice and then just tank the Vampire Nasa, seeing
just
5 cards, just 5. I mean, that's huge, right? Two additional from Twinning, 2 additional from Wake. I think this is definitely the line that Charlie needed to take, but going to be rough. From an odds perspective, I think, what do we say? 4-20?
I think
so. Classic 1 in 5. So
Geek.
The R&D gods could be kind here.
Yeah, Lost Geek's still just figuring out, is there a way to get into server 1? You still want to get like the odds you can, but I think this seals the deal.
Predictable.
So this is the last real game of the turn.
Now, Charlie's chooses to not res Spin Doctor.
And just doesn't use a twinning counter here.
Mm-hmm. Notably, I'm sure actually Lost Geek would have loved an HQ mark here, but actually hits Archives, which is totally not helpful in this exact turn that Lost Geek needed it.
Yeah, you cannot roll them correctly every time.
And here we go.
So
no doubt we're going to be sending it.
R&D.
Now, Charlie's almost certainly going to be rezzing Spin Doctor. And then shuffling 2 more items back in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, would seem totally reasonable.
Oh, he's letting him fire, of course, so he's going to be able to draw 2. Let's see.
Not sure if drawing 2 actually increases or decreases your chances of finding those agendas, though.
I think you want to draw agendas into hand.
Yeah, they're probably safer there than on R&D.
Right, can't run through Anansi at this point. On 0 credits, 2 cards, so his final click, has to be, I don't know, click for a credit. Like I don't see any other line here. So I think for Charlie, I think I'm drawing here every time, but I'm not a math nerd.
Yeah, I'm not sure if any of the top cards have been seen already. I don't think so.
Anybody else sweating? I just started sweating just exactly at this turn.
Yeah, these are the turns that you love and really hate at the same time. Yeah. Charlie probably thinking through every possible possibility here. And chooses not to draw.
Fascinating. Chooses not to draw.
Spin-Doctor
I don't
gets in.
I don't know if again, not a math nerd, but I think I draw there. What about you, Oxu?
Yeah, I think drawing is reasonable. Just if you Spin-Doctor back cards, the Spin-Doctor cards to take up a more bigger pool of the cards that you have in the deck.
All right, this is it.
So cards
Notably,
back.
any 5-3 wins the game. Hitting the 3-1 Regenesis. Doesn't win the game immediately, but really slows Charlie down.
Yeah, makes it so there's still at least one more turn left. And I think the odds are something like 1 in 3 that Charlie sneaks out to win.
This is, again, baby brain can't handle the math on that one. 3 quick ones, 4, 5. Oh my gosh! How? Whatever deity sacrifice that Charlie did in that moment absolutely worked. The R&D gods listened and responded with the absolute goose egg. 5 cards on R&D. And the big whiff. So deflated. I mean, Lost Geek. 0 credits. The last click. There's a single button to hit here. It's probably the concede button.
Yeah, I think totally reasonable. Just taking every possible out, but just doesn't add up.
Yep. Wow. Huge W. Charlie coming back from just the depths.
Yeah, still sneaking it out.
GG indeed. Yikes. The entire time I was saying, what a bad spot Charlie is. And to turn this into a W, I just can't believe. I'm dying to see what's in R&D. Well played. Just expertly piloted on both sides. Lost Geek, I'm reflecting back to his turn 2 or 3 maybe. Took that bravado run on HQ and just seized the moment and actually swung the tides there. Also, extremely nice time taken on this game. Just fantastic. There's probably like a 420 something on here. Nope, none of that, but still nice. Okay.
And
wow, what a game, Oxu. What do you think?
The second game left.
I know.
Yeah,
that was game 1, folks.
Wow.
Game 1. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really love these thinking Fight Club games where you don't have the time pressure and you can just think through every line. We saw wonderful lines played by Lost Geek, like the line on boomeranging the Athenian archives, then running hate R&D, and the pinhole threading line, the diversion funds line, absolutely legendary stuff, but just couldn't add up during the game. One really unlucky pinhole hit for the damage on archives, and
that's right.
It's just not adding up, just not being able to find everything.
Just a tremendous game. Wow. You called it too, Oxio. It's like, is pinhole actually going to be that important here? But you're right. That single
the
net
one
damage
Rashida
was
just
huge.
Saving up Charlie so much, getting that Rashida into the YDL, just allowing Charlie to bounce back on the credits.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to run and grab some water because we're in this for the long haul here. I'm putting up the second decks. Why don't you go ahead and talk through, these matchups and what you're thinking about going into this game?
Yeah, I have to find up the decks somewhere.
Oh, sure. It's up on stream, and I'll also send it to you on Discord.
Yeah, I have the deck. I found it. So we have which one of this? So Lat into Near Earth Hub. I think this is Lost Geek's one piece probably pet deck. Played it at Worlds Gunheld style list. Oman is a nice Blooderworth, just asset hell, basically. Getting those like full tempo going out there, just install everything. And we saw this list kind of fall down with the introduction of the loop into the metagame with Hoshiko, like this mulch decks, just rolling the like asset decks sometime. But like Fight Club format is interesting. Sometimes you just don't hit the matchup unless you're Jai that his team just gets those matchups every time. But that being interesting here, at least has Parisha maybe being able to take down those Neroth Hub servers, adding up with all of the econ in the deck and having a strong win condition in deep dive could just take it down. But it will be interesting to see how quick of a start Lost Geek can get with the Neroth Hub. If Lost Geek can just go in there with those, just install three great things, get that Wage Workers click, I think that could fall behind. But if Charlie can stay in the game, it will be really cool to see. And I think the game just got started, right? Yep.
Game is up. And we are back. So this is the second game for Fight Club 2024 semifinals. We've got, as a reminder here, we've got, sorry for the white screen flash, get your sunglasses on. We've got Charlie, also known as Santa on the interwebs, and Lost Geek. Teams of Mr. Muntal from Muntal Boast team, and additionally Lost Geek from Team SBT. So, this is a fascinating game, which we are going to be zooming out. NEH likes to spam some assets, and there will be some. So, Aksu, if I'm thinking, if I'm sitting across the table from NEH, let me actually pull up the deck lists here. I can change that a bit. Let's move this out. Get them on the table. Okay, so some notable assets. What do you think are the must-trash assets of this game, Aksu?
I think you have like 15 master trash assets, like
right,
Bladderwort,
yeah.
Bladderwort, Wage Workers, Amani Senais, all of that adds up really quickly. And of course, when you just go in and trash those, you get hit by Oppo, and you take so much tempo loss from that. But
that's right.
It's interesting to see Lost Geek favoring this Neroth Hub list, not the like more typically seen R+ version of this Kanhol list. Just wanting to get that extra draw every turn.
Yeah, that's right. If I'm Charlie, the only thing that I'm thinking about here is Wage Workers, Amani Senai, and Crypto Crash. I suspect Bladderworts are going to just be a pain in the ass, but you maybe let them fire for a little while. Hopefully that they're not hitting your value over time. But if I'm Charlie, I've got 1x Parisia, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I see an SMC and an overclock, I'm probably fetching that Parisia. 2 credits a turn to go trash some assets can be huge in this game. But this Shaper style of deck really wants to keep the corp at bay, just focusing on the must trash assets, and then just building up to a deep dive turn. Notably, there's 1x Hannah Wheels in the deck, so that's huge to be able to clicklessly check one server for free a turn. And no doubt, I think Charlie is going to be digging for a Hannah and hoping to see it very early in this matchup.
Yeah, I think Hana plus Parisha is probably the thing that allows you to compete with the tempo of the asset deck just pushing out.
And there it is.
This could be it. This could be it. Do we see a Parisha from the self-modifying code?
Absolutely huge. If we see an overclock, which is just a 2x. Okay, interesting. Going after Bladderwort early makes sense here. Charlie's saying, look, I want to hang on to my cards. They're going to generate value. And there it is. Parisha coming out with wheels already on the table. Look, those are just 1x's in the deck and already produced. Just huge.
Yeah, I think Charlie's probably really happy with this. Lost Cake probably has to find an oppo here. Just get Charlie to slow down a bit somehow, some way. If Charlie just gets like one free click to go take care of an asset, Lost Cake just cannot stay in the game anymore. Lost Cake still needs so much money to fire those oppos, fire those Amani traces, get everything rolling.
It wasn't a snap click oppo last click here, so let's see what he does. All right, just click for a credit.
For a credit is not a thing you want to see there.
Yeah,
I think
that pause, you're right, could have been.
Be really happy with this.
That pause definitely could have been thinking about a wage worker, res.
Oh, and taking care of the spin doctor first, so doesn't go after server 4 or 5, and maybe trash something like wage workers, and just let Lost Geek spin that back. Just makes it sure that spin doctor is getting most unoptimal usage that it probably can get ever.
Yeah,
Charlie still has so many clicks just to get that normal game plan, just generate value and everything.
I'm Charlie here. I've got to be feeling pretty good about this start. And additionally, Lost Geek is saying, I got some work to do. Doesn't quite get under the credit limit for the Bladder Warp proc, but just says, hey, I'll take a cheaper pad campaign.
I think Bladder Warp here is probably just a cheaper pad campaign, I feel like. Like, if you're under that threshold, you are kind of you cannot really fight back with oppos or anything. Especially with you not getting that 5 credit oppo online. You need to have the full 7 credits to actually threaten out full big oppos.
Now, what do you think, Adoxio? Is the current threats at this credit pool? Okay, there we go. There's some threats that we're talking about here, but I'm thinking, I was going to ask, is Bladder Ward a threat at this board state? Would you even consider going to trash it, or would you not want to get oppoed until more threats were presented? And of course, Lost Geek put some more threats on the table, but you know it.
If you have Parisha, you want to use the Parisha credits every turn. So I think you contest server 6 and 7 before that, but you still want to get rid of that Bladder Ward if you cannot get anything else to use your Parisha credits for. Especially if you do it clicklessly with wheels. Yep, Rashida just goes. Rashida can kick the curb. Do we see a run on server 7 here? And in other interesting server to run is server 1 actually, that is protecting it. Daily business show. Does it leave the game? Bit of a higher tempo loss to actually trash.
Yeah, I think you're okay with that res. Saying, yeah, you can get a single bottom from Daily Business Show, but you got to pay the cost first, and it's probably only going to last a turn or two.
Yeah, and I think Charlie probably can just stay in the game by trashing all of this asset. Doesn't actually need to fight like a prolonged game with Lost Geek getting on huge table online. So maybe that Daily Business Show doesn't actually do that much on this board state.
What do you think in win into server 1 here? Like, what do you care about?
Maybe another Rashida could be something. I think wage worker should probably pre-res. So Rashida or maybe an agenda. If I'm not, the deck just has one tomorrow's headline, so really not the thing you want to push out. Yeah,
I'm also looking at this. I'm sorry, I'm also looking at this list and looking at a reversed accounts.
Oh, there goes Crypto Crash. Yes.
Crypto Crash was pretty big there. And look, just a 1x, a single seamless in this entire deck. So yeah, Charlie found some good 1x's, but Lost Geek saying back at you here.
Yeah, I think Charlie's probably happy at that Crypto Crash is getting scored after he has set up, and when there's no Omani on table.
Yeah, I also think that each turn that goes by that Charlie's trashing an asset and Oppo is not getting played, of course it's only two tags, but it's such a low kind of credit pool that 2 tags can really set a runner behind.
Yeah.
Charlie just really wants to play econ, keep the board down, and again, just keep building up to be able to have the tempo to slowly get your breakers online so that you can threaten and, get a big deep dive off to really seal the deal, right? Charlie's win con here is to play deep dive and hopefully nab 2 agendas, maybe a Bologna, maybe a, crypto crash. And you get that extra click either with DJ Fenris to pull out Sable, or the only other way is you got to pop wheels. So you got to be going for that Hail Mary to be able to finally get it. And we'll see. Lost Geek went for a Hail Mary last game and didn't pan out. So maybe it's Charlie's turn or rather Lost Geek's turn for a carefree or no agendas here in R&D. But we'll see how this pans out. But expecting a deep dive later in the game is an absolute.
Yeah, and the daily business show going live, and just getting those installs online as well.
And daily business show in NEH is really interesting because, with things like CTM, you really control your draws and want to bottom your agendas. But, with the install on NEH, you just immediately take a draw that can't be actually bottom of DBS. So you're only looking at a single, depending upon how many they stack. But I've always found DBS to be really interesting. Certainly good, but not quite as control heavy as maybe the CTMs of past.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a reasonable call. Oh, and finding a wage worker and Lost Geek not resing the wage workers on the same turn as installing those three cards. Maybe trying to get it to live one more day, but no, it doesn't. At least here. And wonder if Charlie can go and check those server 9 and 10. Is it going to be worth it, or are those just like credit tools?
That's a good question. Notably, there's no behold, no check Isaiah, no traps to really be worried about at all here.
Yeah, there's no threat in checking anything. You just can basically run everything and look spot on the table. But of course, you lose tempo during that time where you could have been building your own rig, getting those credits that you need during the game. Because there are fewer cards that actually blow you out from the unchecked board state. It's not like the table carnage deck that just kills you if you don't check anything. Lost Geek just getting those scores at like worst case scenario. Yeah, I think Charlie's maybe playing some econ this turn if he has something like just creative commission.
All right, there's your answer to pain.
Yeah.
Going down to 3 here is...
Yeah, it's pretty scary. I hope Charlie has a creative commission. I think that's an econ you might slow down for. Click for 2 credits, and do we see something? No, just clicks for 3. Oh,
clicks for 3. It's basically saying, one of those 2 agendas could be a crypto crash. But without wage workers on the table, he says, I'm fine.
Oh yeah, no second Sims launch anymore. Of course, it could be another wage workers on table, but I think that's probably pretty unlikely. With one getting trashed already. Mm. And no instant resets at least. So, yeah, discard's still going on. Rashida and what's on server 9 then? Hmm. Installing a card. Hmm. Oh, and installing something on server 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that even a single ice star is pretty threatening, with most of the ice being pretty scary actually. Stuff like Mesnit Chessfo and Virtual Service Agent are just like huge tempo hits here.
That's right. Notably, there's only 3 end the runs right now that actually keep out Charlie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ping basically turns into just give a tag for 2 credits, which is still really good, but it's not nearly on a similar power level as it is in R+, where it actually is kind of a really messed up card.
Now, if I'm looking at this SMC on the table, that's one way to be able to dodge losing the credits for Crypto Crash.
Oh,
but
yeah,
at this board state, though, right, you have to have a wage workers on the table. So if I'm Charlie, the thing I'm really thinking about here is I have to be able to generate more money as I play this game and still, just keep checking remotes, making sure that you're not going to get blown out by Amani Sinai, wage workers, and Crypto Crash.
Yeah, I think that sounds totally reasonable. But Charlie just last on click for 3 credits, so I don't think there's any action going on in his hand. So probably has to nuka this turn just to get something to play in his hand.
Yeah, that's right. Dirty Laundry is, I don't think has been played yet, but there's 3 of them in this list, and that's going to be another one of those huge cards to advance your credit pool while still checking remotes.
Yeah, Dirty Laundry or something like maybe clearing out the Marilyn campaign, maybe just getting that done tempo positively.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. And then after that, you can also like wheels on server 11, just making sure that there's no Amani Senais or wedge workers that sneak on the table. Although if server 1 is the tomorrow's headline, this game turns pretty quickly into a scary one where Lost Geek can just hammer those big oppos online. But nothing yet. Just thinking about it again. Is there anything that you click for a credit just to go to 7 credits? I don't think so, right?
Another Maryland.
Yeah, second Marnie campaign. Leaving that on the table. Just maybe giving up on the trash game plan.
I like this run. Yep.
Yeah.
Server 9 needs to go.
Yeah, just doing that, making sure that there's no tomorrow's headline, no Amani Senai or wage workers online. Just making sure Lost Geek has to play fairly.
Okay, here comes the tempo oppo.
Yeah, looks like it.
And you got to assume you're okay with that, right? You've got Daily Business Show keeping things a little bit more safe in HQ. You've got your Maryland campaigns, you got Pad campaign coming.
Oh, this could be a turn where Lost Geek actually goes in, and
it's a big turn here.
There's probably an agenda going on server 1, I would assume.
No doubt.
Yeah, this is a turn that absolutely could turn the game completely upside down. If Charlie has to actually pop the wheels here, the whole game turns out differently. Like, huge pivotal point here.
Taking a look at the tag punishment, we really only have 2. Shipment from Vlad, which allows you to score from hand, right? A Bologna, another crypto crash just to continue to dig the runner deeper and deeper. And then lastly, self-growth program bounces them back. And, I'm looking at the board state here, getting a cleaver bounce to Hannock bounce would be pretty painful, no doubt. But Charlie's done a really good job keeping the Amanis down, making sure that there's nothing on the table to like really just put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, even then you really cannot challenge anything here. Like, I think it might be turn out the worst, and this is just another crypto crash, and Charlie is just going straight to 0 credits after this. But if I think it looks like one ice is something like an Enigma or Mesne Chestvo, I would assume. I don't think you play like this if it's just a ping on protecting that. I think it's just too important for your game plan here.
I'm not sure. I think if I'm Lost Geek, I'm probably making that play regardless of what the ice is. Even if it's just a VSA. Like, I think you got to make these plays. Right,
yeah, oh, that's huge. Overclocking server 1.
Okay.
What do we see here? I think this makes you pretty happy into everything.
Just says nope.
No res even.
No res. Okay, so what do you think? Are we pulling?
So do we see the pop here? Yeah, I think you just have to get the Basso or Echelon. I think both make some sense. Echelon is probably cheaper at least.
Echelon.
But yeah, you have to be able to deal with the master chest
accounts. Huge. Wow.
And now you wish that you hadn't installed the Basso.
I mean, that absolutely needed to go down. But that's why Lost Geek's making that play. He doesn't care. Right? Regardless of the outcomes, I think Lost Geek's feeling good about that.
Yeah, I think Lost Geek is really happy with that. Charlie using so many credits to take down the reverse accounts there. And now has to go to like 1 credit only. While Lost Geek can just push forward way more fast than Charlie can set up and get back into the game.
That's right. I think if I'm Charlie here, I'm probably going to be using my simul chip for SMC just to get it on the table so you don't lose the opportunity.
There's no econ programs in Charlie's deck, right? There's no... Oh, there are fermenters or something that you probably could save the simul chip for, but I think picking something up here could be totally worth it.
Yeah, I didn't even notice fermenters in the list. I think that would have been just an absolute game changer to see turn 1.
Yeah, it's a huge pickup on these asset matchups. You just need the liquid econ during the games. If Charlie could have just clicked for basically 8 or 9 credits, the game would have been completely different at this point.
Okay, we're getting a triple
Lost
draw.
Geek using the... hitting another oppo, that's massive. I think Wheels has to go on this turn. And Lost Geek basically using, like, making Charlie's turns null and void.
I'm not sure. Like, you might actually...
How can you clear this?
Do you let the corp trash Wheels for you?
I don't think so, because
at that point.
Corporation trashes Wheels and the self-growth programs step both breakers into hand, and game is basically over at that point.
Right.
So you have to clear these tags and use, at least then you can use Wheels on something positive for you. Yeah, I don't think Charlie has been finding enough econ this game. There has been like 3-4 econ cards found in the top half of the deck. Everything else I think we would have seen already.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think not drawing for
there goes the wheel.
That's big time.
Yeah, and ending on two credits only.
Yeah, another line there is you just say, look, you better have drawn it before, if you didn't draw your self-growth program. I mean, Just go tag
Well, we
him
have
until
seen
that happens.
Daily Business Show sticking around for quite some while, so
True.
Lost Cake probably has seen most of the deck already.
Very true.
And I think that's just a thing that you cannot deal with, and we have to zoom out at this point. Yeah, getting the 4 installs on one turn, just absolutely huge tempo here. Pushes out everything from HQ, and getting that so valuable nearest hub trigger, getting that extra draw just consistently. Absolutely nasty stuff here. And
Oh yeah.
I really don't. I think, like last game, we said that I don't see this line where Lost Geek claws his way back in the game, and it ended up being Lost Geek winning that game. But I really don't see what Charlie can do right here.
It's an extremely tough position to be. And the way that, Lost Geek really leans in here is, hopefully having Amani Sinai on the table. So that even if, Charlie does contest. Oh, is Charlie going for a deep dive here? Can't steal Bologna, so I doubt it.
Yeah, can't steal Bologna, and probably doesn't even have a way in on R&D and HQ.
Just getting the money.
Yeah.
What are you pinholing here?
I think wage workers probably goes.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet.
I think Lost Geek probably could have pushed an agenda on server 1, so losing the wage workers means that he has to find another way to actually push out the agenda. And Charlie hasn't gotten use out of that trigger at any point of the game.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, Lost Geek has been just sitting on 3 or 2 cards in hand every time, and Charlie hasn't found a way to actually use
4 triggers.
Now that's at least some.
Yeah, but I think notably, 4 triggers, a stone ship, chart room, and 1 Nuka is the only draw that Charlie's seen so far.
Yeah, Shaper is the faction with the only good draw in the game. So really want to have more than what you have had this game. I think the clicks we have seen, click for credits that we have seen have been kind of emblematic of this, that Charlie just hasn't found the tools to stay in the game. Oh, and Rashida, that's so much value.
Lost Geek thinking he's dodging a lat trigger.
$21
credits. 9 cards. Oof.
Yeah, I think we can see something like install 4 cards again here. There's one. Oh, and second wage workers on table already. Ew.
Found them all. But when you're ripping through your deck as fast as any H can, that makes sense.
Yeah, I just wonder where the rest of the agendas are. Has Daily Business Show just been bottoming those? Oh, I think I got my answer right there.
Absolutely. Now, there's 3 Amani in the deck and only 1 in the bin. Somewhere here, 13, 16, 17 is likely another Amani Sinai.
Yeah, and if Lost Geek can score out a crypto here with the Amani Sinai bounce, I think that's more nails in the coffin.
Even with Charlie being able to contest this remote and maybe stealing an agenda, you're just going to lose so much tempo going through this ice. Let me pull up the deck list again. The ice we're looking at is Ping, Unsmiling Serevna, VSA, right? Mist and Chesto. Those things they're just annoying. They're not that expensive to res, and they really slow down the runner.
Yeah, and some of those breakpoints are really horrible for these breakers. Basso paying 4 to break Message Chest for, and 7 if Lost Cake can push out the click for the 1 power counter there. And Charlie ending the turn on 0 credits here.
Just on the table. Look at that.
Oh no.
Huge.
At least there's no wage workers here. That would have been so horrible.
Oh, just installing the daily cast. Crippling on this Amani
I think that
trigger.
daily cast is taking a long while back to hand. Yeah, the position here is so rough.
Mm-hmm. That's what this NEH list can do. It's just so punishing if you can't stay on top.
Is Charlie's last only option just going, like, hoping for sick rips of R&D and HQ?
Yeah, but with 3 Bellonas in the deck,
Yeah, like Bellona is so horrible for these situations where you just need to hope for those couple of last access. When you need actual credits to be able to win the game, it doesn't help at all. And do we just see click for 3 credits or click for 4? Probably has to clear the tag.
I think just clearing the tag might even be a losing play. You got to assume self-growth program is in hand, but
yeah, totally could be like you just could play like you hope that Lost Cake hasn't found it some way somehow. But I think Lost Cake probably has a reasonable line here of just advance server 1, and there's nothing that Charlie can contest that with.
Yeah, that's right.
Advance server 1, and Charlie's only option is running R&Ds 4 or 3 times. And that would take some astronomical chances to get the agenda found. Hasn't advanced it yet. Maybe taking some time to think about it at least. Or Lost Cake could have just been bottoming agendas so heavily with daily business show. There's no agendas left in this top half of the deck anymore. Overinstall, advance, yeah.
There's the Bellona.
Yeah, I think this looks so much like just being game.
You know, Charlie saw the cards that he wanted early, but didn't maybe see the econ in the right order. Fermenters was the big, the big card I think he wanted to see there.
I think Charlie clicked for credits like 5 clicks this game or something.
That's right.
Where he absolutely needed to be playing some econ cards.
Yeah, please, I'm going to definitely want to take a look at the stats after this game.
Yeah, totally. I think Charlie's probably just thinking, like, is there any way to do something here? I think Charlie's only line is just running R&D. Just hope and a prayer. And then you need to hope that it's literally crypto daily degree mill.
Yep, the 1x degree mill is the only line.
Yeah, that's your only chance. So 3 of the top R&D cards have to be exactly the same. And I probably would assume that some of those cards have been seen by Daily Quest or Daily Business Show already.
That's right. That comment I made earlier about Daily Business Show and not being maybe as impactful in NEH, probably doing a tremendous amount of work this game.
Yeah, it's one of those cards that feels so non-threatening, but it ends up doing so much work for you. It kind of is just like a mandatory trash. but Charlie just didn't have the econ at that point when it got played, and then couldn't find any econ in the meantime. So Daily Business Show just sitting there gathering that huge value.
And these full bleed arts, they're just so cool.
Yeah, well, got a donut to Jane just for these arts, and as a secondary benefit, keeping the servers alive. Charlie actually thinking about the math here. I think my line is tilt conceding.
I think I'm in that spot too, but we've seen Charlie. I've seen Charlie many times come back from tough positions, and we saw it last time. Although I think this fourth state is.
I think this is beyond good play saving. I think even if you're like greatest gamer alive, you cannot deal with this board state.
Well, conceptually, the only option here, like line, is he's got a single overclock, and maybe if I'm Charlie, I'm thinking click for 3 credits, overclock the remote. You'll take some tags in the process, but at least not lose. Maybe have the credits to steal a Bologna, get some things bounced, and then maybe hopefully R&D and HQ is porous for the following turns. Like, could happen. I have certainly lost games like that.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit too early just to like concede here. I think Netrunner is a game where you take your outs in these tournament games. It's super easy just like play like testing game with your friends in a testing group and just like end up in this position and just conceding and going to the next one.
Oh yeah.
But sometimes you have to think about this like real hard lines. This like last couple of points in a game that's basically lost already. Is it going to be click for 3 and overclock remote? I think it has to be if we see any more credit clicks for credit. I guess Charlie has done the math probably. Can't calculating, so if it's anything except Messenger Gesto, you probably can get in and probably steal the agenda.
I'm only seeing 1 overclock in the bin.
And I would assume there's 3 in the deck, right?
Actually, only 2.
Oh, really? So it still has to have found the second overclock already.
Okay.
And that's better than clicking for a credit.
Certainly is. Oh, season archive. Oh, wait.
There's a
interesting crypto crash.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Monty Sinai trigger. Oh,
that's
damn. Okay.
Is that like the most genius play ever?
Yep.
Oh,
yikes! And seals it away.
Look, really on the next level here.
That's huge. And I think, yeah.
Oh. Getting punished for overclocking the archives instead of like server 4.
Absolutely huge. Yeah, I'm thinking Lost Geek saying just pitching it because I couldn't think you win this. Not because I was expecting the Amani trigger.
Just
at this point, no. I think there's got to be a code gate here on the remote.
Yeah, I would assume so. So Charlie just R&D, I guess.
Well,
if Lost Geek can't rest R&D, I guess you still can steal a Bellona as well.
Yeah, I mean he's on 5 credits. Like I think two runs on HQ could be acceptable. Hopefully a Porous, maybe a unsmiling Serevna, maybe nab a Bologna out of R&D. It's possible. 2 clicks, got to make them count.
Yeah, 2 clicks and a prayer. But realistically, I don't see anything here. Lost Cake probably on the calculation has seen the daily business of things. So.
Well,
Maybe there's something like as hit simul chip, pit parisha. I don't know.
we are on turn 13. Just thinking if those, agendas or cards that were getting bottom is starting to wheel back around in R&D.
Yeah, that could totally be the case.
Oh, there's probably been some Maryland shuffles at some point, though.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Marilyn ruining all of the perfect daily business show calculations.
I like this run a lot.
Oh, and smiling. Using simul chip?
Yeah, what?
Do you get... Oh!
Let's go, Shaper.
Get that one extra... couple of extra accesses here.
Yeah, I find that interesting. I guess you can... I think I might have put that on... I guess this is fine if you steal an agenda. Oh! There we go. There we go. Well, I mean, you're bouncing the Pikachu. It's got to be, right? Okay, the breaker.
I guess if you bounce Pikachu, you can install it on HQ and just run there. So Charlie still has 2 accesses left.
Back in the game. 2 clicks, 0 credits. Can he do it?
And this is a heartbreaker if Lost Cake goes and loses this way. Still 2 or 3 clicks left in this entire game.
Now, you remember that moment last game where all of a sudden I was sweating. It has happened again.
Yeah, pretty.
I'm at the edge of my seat.
Overclock. Oh, gets an ability to steal another Bellona.
Yep.
Yeah.
Take back what I said. Although, now he sees a line. Can't steal the green mill from this position.
Oh, yeah, you can steal a degree mill as well.
I cannot, because
there's Pikachu plus Dr. Nuka.
Yeah, swaps back to your hand.
Oh, no.
Doesn't get it.
Yeah, access a card.
Doesn't get it. Gotta go HQ.
Just HQ, just hope. Gotta hope.
Easy Enigma.
Ruined.
GG.
Oh, no.
Absolutely insane game. Wow. That was exciting.
Ooh.
All right. Lost Geek takes it. What an absolute game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlie going for the server 1 overclock to be able to contest the remote. Lost Geek pitching that crypto was just a huge swing. Still made it interesting at that last bet, though. I'm sure Lost Geek was starting to sweat just like me.
Yeah, totally. Oh.
Wow, crazy game. Looks like we've got Colin, Fire RL coming in for the next team match, and D, known as Deer Online, going to be coming in and playing. Let me get the deck list set up, and I'll pop into the stream. Pop into the next game here. Looks like, okay, let me pull up the deck lists. So next round.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
I think it's this top. Yeah, of course. I think I'm also going to need a light break. I'll go ahead and put the list up. I'm going to take a brief moment, and then we'll hop into the next game once they're ready to go. So, deck list for the next round. We're playing both sides. Okay, be right back.
All right, I think there's going to be a couple of minutes until the next round.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes. So I think we can talk about the deck lists. Do you know on which deck the players are on?
I'm not sure yet.
I think
like Colin's going to need, a couple more minutes here. So I've got the deck list pulled up.
I think it probably is the first one. I think DR played Bloop and PD against me last round, so I think it might be Loop into Wayland, built to last, and Sable into PD during this round. I can scroll up in the chat as well.
Let's talk about these lists for a second. So,
yeah, there is on Loop and PD.
Right. Not sure which one happens first here, but if I'm looking at these matchups, generally speaking, I'm feeling pretty good against PD as Sable here. Notably, we've got 3 pinhole threadings. Like if you think you're sticking a Rashida, that Void, think again. Especially with, there's only one Chesva, but this is bankroll Sable. So expect there to be, there's Amakua and bankroll, so there's going to be lots and lots of pressure. This WinCon is on just like most of the other lists and the lists we saw in the first round. Lost Geek was on twinning, 2 twinning, and a single paladin. A lot of lists are on that right now. There's a fun card here we have not seen in a deck list in potentially ever. We're looking at Downtown. Debbie showing up here as a 1x.
You have to respect the Janet Ken players.
Oh yeah, mad respect. Now, if this comes down turn 1, just sick value, absolutely sick. Another thing on the influence here is we're looking at 2 Diesel instead of 2 Nuka, where the other Sable lists that I've seen actually do play. Notably, we've got the busted Concerto. Wait, how many cards do we actually have? 48 cards. It's just the classic, 45 min, and then the extra 3 just freebies, right? You're already running. Just throw them in there.
Find a decklist from Netrunner DP and make it a bit worse, just so you can post your own decklist right up.
Well, we can talk a bit about that, the theory behind it, but if you're already going to be running, it's just free value. And I think with PD, you're probably going to be putting a lot of pressure here. Now let's take a look at this PD list. So pretty classic stuff. I think notably, ADT.
Is there anything different from this than any other PD list? I think this is just basically stock standard PD. It's one virus instead of 2. It's one virus replaced by a wraparound, but other than it's PD that everybody loves and knows.
Yeah, that's a good call.
But still, PD into Sable, I think it's probably one of the closest matchups PD can have. It really depends on how fast the Sable can start and how does your ice placement go. Can you park those stuff like Bran on HQ? Can you Mick on R&D? Stuff like that.
And anytime I'm playing PD, the thing I'm always just chanting, saying to myself is Rashida has to fire. Right? If you don't get an early Rashida against a Sable, it can really swing in either direction. So, if I'm D and I'm looking at a mulligan, if I'm not seeing a Rashida, if I'm not seeing ice, I'm probably likely going to be throwing that back. Rashida absolutely has to fire.
Has to get that early Rashida, but I think the 3 pinhole ring really come in handy there. Just if your turn 1 is res ice on server 1 and your Rashida gets pinhole ringed, you basically lose the game on the spot. So it really makes you slow down the game.
Can really be crushing. Now, to talk a bit about the other matchups here, we're looking at build to last. And I've seen, Fire RL and Colin playing this build to last deck quite a bit. So it's definitely practiced a tremendous amount. And we're looking at just a good old-fashioned mulch loop list. This one appears to be on Conduit and a single boomerang as opposed to, spreading the influence. There's 2 pinholes in this list, which I think that's sort of where the influence can get shuffled around a bit. Which I think pinhole will actually
really nice in the Bio Vault here.
Exactly. It's going to be a really important card here. Notably, we got the pinholes, we got the tech in both of these runner matchups. We'll see how they actually get played here. But otherwise, I think this is just pretty classic, pretty classic mulch. I haven't actually done sort of the analysis here on what's the ice going to do into this big ice deck, right? We're looking just classic Glacier. This built to the last list. We're looking at Pharaohs, we're looking at tree lines, we're looking at big stuff. Mess and Chestfo is really annoying here. I don't know exactly what Sokka's list is in terms of whether this is card for card or not. I'm not actually sure, but we're looking at 3 Winchesters.
I think it looks pretty similar.
It does, yeah. 3 Winchesters going into a Num, and of course Audrey it's a tough break point. 4 strength is really annoying for those matchups or those lists, and Num 6 credits if you want to break all those subs, and you pretty much do.
You kind of have to. You cannot really park a Botulos on Winchester because your Botulos are mandatory on Pharoses and 3 lines when those get too big.
That's right. So Conduit here, I'm sure Lost Geek would love if this said Tranquility instead. And so I think that's going to be a big choice here with this list this week, and coming into a big nasty Glacier style like this is, I think Conduit might be really tough to play and play well, because if I'm, Fire RL playing this matchup, I'm thinking I'm going to just batten down the hatches, really kind of play a little slow, build up some good defenses, just go ahead and get after it.
I think loop deck really starts to struggle if you double ice central, so you can't really get any Audreys rolling anything like that. And I think it really comes down on the start on their side. Can they just get bottles down on key ice super fast, get a fermenter rolling, get those key access, maybe hit something like a Pharos out of hand with Imp and just get rolling straight from the gate, but I think that might be a bit too... Might ask them to draw a bit too good for that to happen. Alright, I think they
I think
are
we're about to
almost set up
start.
already.
We've got
The game's at least up.
games are coming on. Let's go. All right. Both contestants joining. And we are away towards the map. Let's go ahead and get the deck lists up. Do a little shuffling around with some screens here.
And I don't think we now know that Fire Arrow is starting with the build to last. So this either takes a while or Bloop can just win it quickly. I think if there's a middle ground, the BTL is just going to roll over. I just don't see Loop just getting that enough value during the game. Oh, it actually is not card for card Sokka's list because there's at least one. There's at least like one border control. Oh, I saw wrongly.
Very long list.
Fire RL needing to take the mulligan here could maybe be something difficult here. If you mulligan into a really bad hand, Bloop can probably just roll over here, but doesn't look like that's happening. Double eyes on both centrals and an advance on top of it. Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, the corporation must be pretty happy here. And that's not a price you want to see. Play the price, hit a price and a cookbook. Yeah, cannot be really happy with that. Oh, at least Fermenter gets online really quickly.
Nice. Got the cookbook down.
Yeah, doesn't hit like the Knobkiri, which would be pretty preferential with Thor's price, but still has to do something. That's probably just an NGO front, has to be. I don't...
Very likely.
Wouldn't...
Yeah, fascinating. You're getting down the cookbook's actually really big in this matchup. It's a 1x in this list, and it's a 1x because it's not critical. But I think for these slow matchups, cookbook to be able to accelerate your fermenters, threaten a I guess being able to just install the botulus, getting that extra counter to be able to apply the pressure in the moment when you need it is actually just tremendously huge. Also, another notable here is like 1x Paladin, both coming down super early is just an absolute huge start for D.
Yeah, those late game pieces showing up early is so good.
Fascinating. D says, I'm not going to take the click. Not forcing you to res that NGO. If you want to click for 3 credits, go ahead. Be my guest. My efficiency is better than yours at this point.
Yeah, I don't think you really can contest the build to last economically, especially with Loop. Although if you run... Oh yeah, you really cannot run HQ because Winchester is... Actually turns out to be a pretty busted card after Bagaltar goes and nobody has any good sentry killers anymore.
All right, we got our first and maybe only iced remote of the game. Welcome to chat, Lost Geek. Absolute, just crazy games.
Yeah, absolute battle for 2 games.
Very well piloted.
Mm. And they're just... Are they forced to just sit here? Cannot really maybe do anything? Like, you cannot contest server 2. Like, I think a thing you can do is just like pop fermenter, get simulchip back, just to get your econ rolling. But
yeah, this is really interesting. You know, if I'm looking at this board state, what do you think, Oxy? Are you popping a fermenter? Well, D just did, but
I think I am as well. Oh, especially if I get Botulus as... Yeah, being able to contest here, I think it's probably going to be a wall-to-wall. Would seem a reasonable thing to install.
very likely.
Behind a single ice.
Admittedly, I haven't played this matchup very much, but I suspect, you know, sticking a wall-to-wall is actually a really important part of the overall strategy.
Yeah, I would assume so. It is like a daily quest style of card that just sits on your remote and just generates an absurd amount of value turn by turn.
Mm-hmm.
And Fire RL not being able to actually rest that card. And wall-to-wall, exactly. But if you can get rid of this Botulus, I think you're reasonably happy with just switching out the wall-to-wall for it.
And there it is, going back for that NGO. Yeah, 2 simul chips down. Oh, another fermenter coming back. Oh, actually used the simul chip for the fermenter. So 2 simul chips down is actually pretty notable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you really cannot switch this Botuli around anymore too much. I think there's at least going to be... Oh, there's 3 labor rights, so you are kinda okay for the long game with those. Although you don't have like DJ Fenris giving you back the couple of extra ones, but I think 9 should probably be enough. Yeah, hedge fund going up to 16 credits. I think that's going to be pretty important. Corp just is able to raise every ice here, so Dier cannot get through anything. Not able to set like Audrey up and actually be able to slow the corporation down with purchase or anything. Oh, and triple advance. I think that might be a Pharaoh's part on the R&D.
Just screaming, here's the Pharaohs.
Yeah, straight after Dier just used one Botulus, so...
You know, actually, it could also be the Hortum, right? Forcing D, or at least saying, hey, you know, install, what is it, Buzzsaw? Yeah, install the Buzzsaw. And, you know, there's also no leech in this list. So if Buzzsaw is installed, it's going to cost 4 credits a turn. And you can't get through it with Audrey.
Face check on just hitting advanced Hortum is massive.
I guess boomerangs are all the other answer, but it's a 1x in this list.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty easy to get your boomerang stuck somewhere with runs being so costly. You kind of have to use it super carefully if you want to use it consistently. Second ice on server 2. Not over-installing the Botulus ice, just keeping it around, making sure that the Botulus is stuck there legitimately. Mm-hmm. And it, of course, could be something like border control on server 2, where the Botulus doesn't even matter. Although there is just one Botulus in border control in the deck, so it's unlikely, but it's possible. You still have to be sure to keep it in mind.
Now, Oxu, I haven't played this BTL matchup personally myself much, but generally speaking, what kind of like scoring pattern are you expecting here or wanting to see as the Corp?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on this matchup at all, but I would assume your main win condition is trying to get that clearinghouse rolling and online. I think that's the way you're most comfortable scoring out. Stuff like SDS doesn't actually have any really face checks or really like steal punishment, so it's pretty hard.
Well, there it is. There's the SDS.
Oh, there it is. I think you're pretty happy sacrificing a botules of Winchester here.
You might actually imp it and run back into archives, potentially risking, the server 2 to be Spin Doctor.
What do you actually gain from imping it, though?
Well, you get a card and a credit.
I guess. It decides to just use it, though. And just using Fermenter. Do we see the Fermenter coming back with the exactly same click, simul chipping it back? No, not this time. But that is three from A7. I think there's 7 changes, right? So 1 out of the 3 needed out of 7. Advance.
All right. Pushing
That
for a score
looks like
here.
an agenda here. Yeah,
Certainly.
I think if you
probably
can score out
a send a message, hoping to res that Pharaohs and R&D if I had to guess.
Yeah, could be. There might actually be some like pile up of agendas in HQ here. We have seen 2 already.
No breakers on the table. 1 botulus in the bin.
Just trying to
1
find
on the table.
here.
Yeah. D's just saying, go ahead. Can't contest now, and Colin Fire RL absolutely taking that window and pushing.
Yeah, I think your corp must be pretty happy here if he can get through the SDS or the sender message here.
Yeah, it certainly could be a Bile Vault. Looks like it was.
Bile Vault is so nasty. Now you really hope to have the pinhole threading in hand just to be able to clear this.
That's right. We talked about this earlier, but pinhole threading going to be huge in both of these matchups.
Yeah.
Starting off with a huge moshing.
Using labor right with the mushing here.
Probably it's fine to get rid of 1 or 2. You're not expecting much
they just have
damage from hand.
You can use it. Yeah, and you have already used all of your prices, mm-hmm. So you don't really threaten yourself with just hitting a really bad price in the later part of the game. So I think this should be fine here. Order coming down. Can we go and pressure HQ here? Is there a chance? Or can you run server 2 here?
That's an option. If I'm D, I might even want to pressure R&D.
Yeah, just make sure like Fire RL has to rest the Pharos on R&D at some point. The 7 credit swing is still going to be pretty huge here.
Right. And the reason why I think that could be important, if we're suspecting send a message in server 2, you really don't want them to to get that res for free.
No. Send a message.
Huge. Wow. Colin, this is a 44 card corp list, and Drew looks like a good amount of agendas early.
Yeah, that somehow those tend to pile up in your hand in build last. I think you have some drudge work to be able to save something, but
I completely misspoke. This is a 49 card list. My apologies.
I think just have the above the law because you have to be able to take it down twinning somehow. So DR has found 2 of the required 3 agendas, so just 1 more access left, possibly.
Really interesting. Depending upon what's in hand, I guess you can't. You might be able to threaten server 2 just to poke, force some credits to be spent here.
Yeah, I think that's totally
obviously
reasonable.
You're not gonna get the agenda, but at least to put on some pressure could be reasonable. And there he goes. There they go.
Yeah, and Order actually lets you almost in completely here.
Okay.
Yeah. foreign disused. And I don't think Fire RL can rest the second ice on server 2 here. You just have to rely on the Biovolt.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking because Simulchip and Botulus still potentially in play, but then you're left without an Audrey counter. Or an option to get an Audrey counter. And there they go, going for it. D saying, gotta keep me out here.
I think that at least does the job here somewhat. There can go and get an Audrey with Simulchip, but I think that if there wasn't a Biovolt here, the game would be just over. Biovolt doing so much work here.
Yeah.
Although Corporation cannot actually score out the agenda here, so can Deer just set up the next turn so they are able to go in there?
You going for back.
It? Do we get the Botulus or the Ode back here? That's the question, though.
Really interesting that trashing the Audrey to maybe pull another Botulus might have signal another Audrey in hand.
Yeah, that could be. Like, I don't think the credits matter too much anymore at this point. It's just about getting that last final access somehow. And Biovolt has to be popped here.
Yep.
Oh, the second card was a Biovolt, though. It's either that there has been just Biovolt sitting there.
I missed that. It went too quickly. That was this. You said it was the second card?
Yeah, the bottom card was the card that was advanced first. So either the agenda has been just sitting there for extremely long time, or there's a second Biovolt in the remote.
Fascinating. I'm going to move the deck list just to show this art. It's so good.
If it's the second Biovolt, though, do you pop the top one? If you think about it. Like, if DR goes back to server 2 next turn, it's so backbreaking if they just end up finding a second Biovolt here.
Really interesting to be pushing Biovolts with HQ, holding agendas.
Oh, just going back in. Do we see just 6 rips of R&D or out of HQ? Does TR just have the world champ defense? No 3-line. Oh, 3-line is still an extremely good card to get rid of here. And I wonder if DR is happy with using that Simulchip to get the Botulus instead of the Audrey. I think if DR had Audrey here, they had another way to get into the HQ again.
All right, Knobkery coming down.
Yeah, the big stick.
That's right. Now, if I'm Fire RL right now, I'm thinking, yep, play some money, but I'm wondering if you try to get an ice on archives just to protect against, the single.
Third advance.
Oh wow!
Is this like a massive mind game, or? I think they're probably just can get in there somehow, right?
Well, is this a clearinghouse? Are we sharing?
Oh, could be.
Are we threatening clearinghouse? Potentially lethal? Wow. I mean, obviously not this turn, but needs to charge it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Having Imp on the table with Knobkery means you don't need the 3 credits to be able to get through it. But yeah, D saying, I need to tank a bit. Yes.
Yeah, that advance throws a huge blank between the wheels. makes you reevaluate the game state entirely again. Straight from the start.
Just fascinating.
Yeah.
Well,
My
that's
brain's
why
like doing front and
why-
backflips trying to figure out what's installed on server 2.
seems like that's why Colin put left those agendas in HQ, really like just going in for the clearinghouse line here.
Yeah, totally reasonable.
We're looking at 3 simul chips in the bin, 2 botulists out. Really the only way to get in is we're looking at, hardcast and Audrey, and now you can get through, lose all your credits and get a single imp counter here to be able to take down the card, but
I think that's might be worth it if you haven't drawn your pinhole training. I think that's your preference, that you just use a pinhole training, find out what it is, and then go in. But maybe that's not just possible here. And they are understandably just going for a think here. This will take some time. This is such a hard board state to evaluate. Running server 2 costs so much money that you really can't challenge anything money-wise. But luckily you have imp. Just skipping that whole part. That's are we going in?
there it is.
I think so.
Making the run on 0 credits. Feel free to use those counters on Mest and Chessfo.
And it's still since Karin just staying up in hand size. Yeah, Botulus paying its weight here.
Tremendously. And Cookbook is absolutely the MVP in this board state.
Oh, accidentally, breaking the lose credits subroutine doesn't do anything here. Yep. Just misclicking its Janet, everybody's fine with it.
Nopcure putting another counter. Gotta assume on Audrey.
It's the clearinghouse. No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty scary situation.
Nopcure to put a Botulus counter on. I think that was HQ. Yeah, HQ Botulus.
Yeah, you can just go HQ next turn then, just setting up for your next turn access. Although Corporation here probably can just install second ice on top of HQ though.
Demoshing a few cards away. Notably some breakers. Buzzsaw, Numb, and Labor Rights.
Also the second Labor Rights. But they have just 9 cards left in the stack, so I think their plan here is just to draw back up through their deck and then Labor Rights back in 3 simul chips or something and get that engine and rolling again.
That's right. Single Labor Rights, maybe 2 simul chips. Also haven't seen the buffer drive come down yet.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of the endgame engine.
That's right. Looks like
there's... Fire RL just clicking for 3 credits here.
Interesting. What do you think about
totally
that turn?
Understandable, but yeah, no server is actually safe here, so. And it's either that there's no ice on HQ or no ice in HQ, or there's just no agendas on HQ. I think it's reasonable to expect that there's still just 4 left or 5 left in R&D. We have seen just top 5, top 25% of the deck or something. But they are just going in here. It's basically a free run, why wouldn't you?
Yep.
And send a message!
Game. Wow.
Oh no!
Wow,
Just
look at
sniping it.
this.
Oh, wow.
Cards accessed, 6.
Oh, that's...
Talk about
I
some
don't think the
odds.
corporation can feel good about that. That is the game that breaks. It feels so soul breaking when your opponent just snipes all of your agendas out of your hand.
Yep. You hate to see it.
Oh no!
Seven cards in
But
49, and
I'm
seeing most of them in the top.
If I'm in Team SBT, I'm just so happy about that game. That's probably like the toughest matchup in your pool this round, and they are just going full sniper there.
Absolutely. Wow, 50% access rate, not bad. Absolutely not bad. We'll see how the line
just being out on the remote.
It's interesting the line Colin took there around pushing the clearinghouse, right? I think if I'm, in that situation holding a couple agendas, I really commend the sort of like risky line around the clearinghouse and pushing that over the agenda. I don't know if I would have made it personally. I don't have the guts to make those plays with 2 agendas sitting in hand, but mad respects to try to go for the clearinghouse.
Yeah, it's really like no ice. The ice just doesn't stop the runner there. Botchul is just going in order. Like your credits or huge ice numbers don't actually matter that much. Oh no! Ooh, just like oh. And I think the other matches should be way more even than the last one should have been, I would assume.
Yes, the next one will be really interesting. I mean, it's classic like PD versus Crim. Generally speaking, I think anytime I see Crim on the other side of a PD matchup, and if I'm Corp, I'm usually a little scared, right? Like I don't think the Crim matchup, and especially a Disable, is I don't actually know what would be favorable. What do you think has a favorable matchup here, Oxy?
I think it's legit 50-50. I have seen people say that Sable is up on the matchup, but the Bran is just too huge of an ice, and Grim Breakers are just too bad, basically. That's my opinion. But if the Grim player plays really well, there are like really good lines with diversion funds and stuff. Just getting in there, sniping those accesses. It really comes down on what kind of a start PD gets, and can the runner disrupt that. If there's a Bran on HQ, huge econ start out of PD, I don't think Grim really can contest that, but if the game starts to drag on, twinning Hermes bounces, those add up really much.
Yeah, that's right. I think that certainly sounds right to me. And I think, we've talked about this again, but like notably 3 pinhole threading, 3 of them is gotta be Crim favored. I think into this, sort of PD list. I really think that
matchup you just don't use your upgrades as your way to score. You park a Bran on the remote, and what can Crim do about it? Legit.
Yeah, that's fair. Absolutely fair.
Yeah, like
you also, if I'm Corp on this, right? Like Bran is definitely going to be the backbone, or at least like the most taxing ice here. And I'd also be really worried about rezzing a wraparound or a border control early. Partly because you don't want to charge the Kurapira, right? Once you have 3 counters, you can bypass that brand. So that's going to be something that D really needs to be careful about here.
Yeah, I think border control is basically like a counter spell that you can install on a remote that you never let the Kurapira actually break.
Mm-hmm.
And like here, I would be really happy if I was there and I just had included 1 more Bran instead of a Gatekeeper, for example.
That's true.
Having 3 Brans versus having 2 Brans can be a massive difference here.
That's right. And with Amakua down, right, after the Gatekeeper res, it's not keeping Amakua out.
Yeah.
So I think you would rather see 2 Bran. But against Crim, like you have to have the money to be able to really keep them out. And I don't know if you can even res, 3 Bran in this matchup.
It really depends on what kind of a start. Can the corporation contest like tranquility grids or something?
Mm-hmm. All right. And the game is underway.
Yeah, 2 missed pawns, so that helps a lot earlier as well. Yeah. They are taking a mulligan, so that could be scary. Runner with just keep here could be pretty threatening. Install.
All right.
This could be a huge blowout here. Run server 1 and pinholes running wins the game for the runner basically here. Oh, going HQ first?
HQ. It's really...
it's basically a safe run.
Right.
Yeah, it's safe run here. Free run.
And you get some
information. Free real estate.
Are they holding, a seamless in hand? Are they threatening to score?
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that's a risky play to potentially push an agenda turn 1 on against Crim.
Yeah, I would assume that there's nothing in H... Or where you can't really put your agendas anywhere, so there might be... But I don't think you can afford the rest. Maybe if it's if this is a gatekeeper, server 1 is the wraparound. Oh, drafter actually rest here. So it could be a tranquility on the remote.
Mm-hmm.
So you get basically a free install here. Oh.
Yeah. A drafter res for effectively, 1. Actually 2 credits. I think you only get 1 on the tranquility, but that's an interesting play. You're going to be net 1 more. Maybe that's enough to res, maybe a gatekeeper on the remote or a magnet.
Yeah, resing something at least. But if the runner pops this flip switch here and just goes, let's fire. And do we see the tranquility getting rest? If that's not happening, I don't see what's happening here. They are really thinking about it.
Fascinating comments in chat around timing windows.
Oh yeah, you have to pre-rest the tranquility. I think I've probably cheated on a couple of people from JNet actually with that timing window. Yeah, somebody should probably patch it in so there's actually a res window there.
Interesting.
Yeah. I wonder about the rest then. Oh, there's an install at least, yeah. Conquworks. You probably get rid of... Oh, you have 3 pinhole throwing, so you might want to keep your credits up.
For 2 credits, there's no ice in the deck except the 1x wraparound.
Yeah, wraparound.
And there it is.
That is.
Wow.
And it's not pinhole throwing. It doesn't have it.
Absolutely huge.
So one of this has to be Rashid, right? No?
Wow, no Rashid is actually rushing there. There goes the Managarm into the remote.
And res the Regolith and click that twice? No? Oh.
Really fascinating here. I mean,
yeah, I really wonder about the rest there.
D's got
really interesting.
It is quite fascinating. I'm super interested to see what the second card in that remote is. D's got turn 1 Tranquility up. Wraparounds out, basically says you must install Kurapira if you want to get in. So I like these starts for both, actually. Both sides, I think, have a pretty interesting start.
Yeah, they are actually ending up in a pretty reasonable position, although you would love to have seen a Rashida there, but...
Yeah, absolutely.
Tranquility Grid, though, it's like backbone of your economy. If you can protect it, you just sometimes win with just pure economic might. And there goes down the draw engine for the runner here. Class Act plus Earthrise is such a good way to draw cards. Just
Wow, there it is.
And then, do we get a second install there? No, just yeah.
That's huge. What a huge burst
now
of econ.
I can definitely now see the idea behind the rest there. Just getting that on the table is so huge.
Right.
And getting a way to actually protect it with Managarm, installing that on server 1 as well.
The only 2 ice combo that could have kept calling out there is wrap around at 2 costs. So the 1X's in these games have been tremendously huge and coming in at the right moments.
Yeah. Oh. Ikava Snipe is huge.
Just back and forth with these two.
Yeah, like although just 2 credits left, but there doesn't actually have any threat on the table currently. Server 1 needs some time until it can actually become a threatening server at all.
And just what a classic kryptonite for Ikawa, the Sable mark, getting the click back, saying what packs. Okay, here's the $2.
It feels so good as the runner, but so bad as a corporation, especially if it's last click run R&D and get a token. Just bouncing? Yep. And do we get something like click Regulus twice, install ice R&D? That sounds reasonable, right?
Potentially risky. I don't...
Yeah, but I don't think the PD can win the long game anymore with that Ikawa getting stolen. Like, just any access basically can win the game here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a good call.
Yeah,
you do really need to try to start pushing out here to potentially outpace Sable, but
yeah, I think you need to do something like you really need to find a seamless launch and just get that ADT scored, get Bran on remote and just go in. Oh, diversion of funds, yeah.
Here comes the doof with ONR vibed alt art here. Oh, gotta remove
cursed alt art.
Where'd that doof go? There we go.
And at least there has 11 credits still left in the bank, so it's not like completely backbreaking. It's just like corporation spending 3 credits just to, or 3 clicks or 2 clicks with HQ mark to siphon the corp for 5. Doesn't add up to a huge amount of value. And Tranquility going Burrow here. And that looks like an ADT going to be scored. ADT or the Off-World Office, of course. Off-World Office, just a huge amount of tempo positive.
That's right. With Carmen coming down, though, HQ is looking, obviously pretty soft with Drafter there. Still expensive,
it still comes for credit, though.
Super expensive.
Yeah, Carmen really needs some help from getting over the breakpoint on Drafter. Like, Drafter just is the GOAT, legit. I really love the eyes. But, like, currently, I don't think running through Drafter hurts too bad. You get one install maybe. Like, what can you install? They probably don't have an upgrade, and even if they have... Undo click. Oh, yeah,
Sure,
maybe
what
just
happened
like
there?
different start of turn action.
Oh, sure. Different bottom on class act. Oh, huh.
Oh yeah, can you fix it manually? Somebody in chat, there is a like #mark command or something, right?
Yeah, I think there is a /set mark.
Yeah. I think it's set mark R&D maybe.
Did it update for you? I'm still showing R&D for me.
I think it should go HQ. Oh wait, huh? Not sure if it's just like if you have to undo turn and then set mark.
Set mark is N, so it's probably 2, like a number. Oh, well, yeah, that's what you said though.
There should be some giant developer in chat probably telling us how the command should work.
All right, where is it?
Yeah, I think it just...
server N. Oh, I see. Well,
But that looks like Sable actually got the mark value though. So
oh yeah, perfect. It did work. Correct.
Yeah, it's just the graphic didn't show up. Yeah, the wonders of Janet. ADT?
Right.
Oh, front office. Yeah, makes sense.
Scores the off-world. I think Colin right now would love to see a Hermes just installed pronto.
Yeah. They are just getting the Regalis mining license back to hand. Not getting that nice PD, like serotonin hit of getting back the seamless launch.
Mm-hmm. You know, if I'm D in this position, I might want to start thinking about drawing cards with Tranquility installs.
I think it feels so tempting, but you just need so much credit to actually erase those big eyes.
Yeah, it's a good call.
I think it's really tempting, and it sometimes is correct, but it's really hard to find the balance.
Yes, with flip switch down, just run with reckless abandon.
Yeah, like why not? Just grim fundamentals of like bash your head against everything and see what gives in. Pin Doctor? And not sure if DR has found the seamless launch yet. Like, that feels so key for PD, feeling that PD can actually play the game. Can you draw a PD in like reasonable time? Like sometimes all of your seamless launches are just stuck in the bottom of the deck, having like
Certainly
fun time
happen.
without you.
Colin here with 2 bankrolls down, Carmen's down, you know, Earthrise, Daily Cast ticking. There's a lot of, you know, potential value here on the table. And I think Colin will be able to really start applying some pressure. I think
the runner is probably in a favorable position here, especially with the one Ikawa already being scored. So DR has to find the one Ikawa in the deck to be able to score out in the like 3 agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Idea that you often want to be.
This mighty wraparound is going to have to come down at some point because you really don't want to charge Kurapira up.
Yeah, I wonder if when the Kurapira comes down, does DR just run server 1 three times?
Almost certainly. Interestingly, Amakua hasn't hit in the table yet. Looking at the deck list, I'll pull it back up again. We see 2 mutual favors, so haven't seen that happen yet, or at least, haven't seen a mutual favor. But I think once breakers are online, there it is, Debbie. Once breakers are online, you really got to assume that, Colin's just going to hit the gas, put so much pressure on the corp here, and D is basically racing to see, can I get my seamlesses? Can I score out faster than Colin can really find breakers to be able to apply that pressure?
When there is the Hermes, that's pretty huge, I would assume. Really makes DR slow down the scores. So, although, seamless launch? Do we get...
Luminal's huge here.
Yeah, let's go. No, install advance the Ikawa project. Just do it. Just let's go. God, I love PD. The idea is so cool. And just fanboying over here. Install advance. Could also be just be a Rashida.
Could be. Wow, money huge, just through the moon. Now, interestingly, I think D would be fine chaining another like 4-2 here. With one Ikawa down, you cannot wait for an Ikawa. You just score whatever agendas are given to you.
Yeah,
you really needs to find some breakers here.
And the list was on Unity, right? So, like, running R&D, then it becomes a reasonable thing. And sometimes, you just run R&D, hit the agenda, bounce PD scoring remote, and PD just cannot do anything to that line, basically. Best thing you can do is like install Bran on R&D plus server 1, basically playing like the Shaper game, and just hope that the corporate runner doesn't find the doofs in time.
Okay.
Oh, that's something.
Jesva making the math a little bit better on Drafter.
Yeah, now getting to HQ for 2 credits. Oh, going R&D. This could be huge.
Running into archives, just saying.
Oh, there's no actually scary eyes here, I don't believe. Like, worst is gatekeeper, but there it is. But you just flip switch this.
Switch it, yep.
Yeah. It's not... You don't want to do that, but like there's nothing else you want to use your flip switch on, probably.
It's really interesting. I think Gatekeeper on Archives is fine. I'd probably be thinking about putting that on server 1. And if it didn't go on server 1, what do you think did? Probably we're looking for, what, a Bran, Mike.
Maybe a Rashida, I would assume.
Well, I'm referring to the ice here, right?
Ice there, yeah. I would assume a Bran would be a really reasonable one.
And here we go, getting some Debbie value.
Yeah, just seeing both cards in HQ, but I don't think you leave a agenda here. Regolith, you cannot trash that. And the second card is the seamless launch.
Right.
I think you know both cards in HQ, so...
Well, you don't necessarily. I mean, what it's really showing is D didn't put that Regolith back in server 1.
Oh, yeah, totally. So. Of course. Is this score out? No, not even a Rashida. Could just be like Anotic Void as well. Just putting it there to be safe.
There's no absolute just snap score here, so I'm thinking another defensive upgrade in the remote. D's thinking, all right, what is my line, right? Now that Hermes and twinning is on the table, now is when the fun times can start rolling, where D starts threatening game. Oh, Seamless coming out. Wow, fascinating.
ADT. Now install something nasty here.
What was the pause there?
Maybe think about what the runner is going to bounce with Hermes, just to make sure. And like look at, do you want to spin doctor something maybe in first? Or shove the deck first? I don't know.
PD doing what PD does here, just chaining out the mighty wraparound, holding things at bay.
Holding the line. What do we see here? They are maybe noting down all of the cards from the ADT, like a good player probably should.
Well, what do you think the chances are of ADT grabbing agenda and jamming in the remote?
I think that's pretty slight with the Hermes bounce still waiting.
Oh, right. Fair.
Especially when you have to show the agenda. But even if, like, you see the Eco project is somewhere like bottom, like in the top 3 of the cards, you can take one of the top cards and then just next turn drawing it and going install advance. So basically get so much information on what's happening, especially with the spin doctor on table. It's so much like free real estate here to do whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I would assume there's no like Bran that would probably be instantly just placed on R&D or head server 1, I would assume. And I think Corporation probably just lets HQ be install offload office.
There it is.
And now the ice is getting bounced, of course.
I wonder if D forgot about the Hermes bounce, just like I did.
I don't assume so, but maybe just calculating that Fire RL cannot actually get in there without finding the breaker first. Like, really needs to find the Kurupira some way, somehow, with the 3 cards drawn. And, like, there's no inside jobs or anything, right? Yeah, 0 inside job, 0. There's Boomerang that works, but we have already seen 1.
Whoa. They can get into HQ. Why not bounce it and sweep HQ? You know, a 3 and 4.
Oh, yeah, you can also just bounce the offroad office. Yeah,
back to hand and then, you know, really good shot.
Is there a chance that there's just like 5 agendas on top of R&D? And you have to install something, I think. Or you may install something.
Really fascinating. I think both. That D would actually pull that into the server, and then that, you know, Colin would actually not bounce the agenda.
Yeah, it's going to be really silly if Colin actually cannot get in here. And has to rely on like going R&D and bouncing something. Like even... Oh yeah, you have like 6 extra credits sitting on bankrolls, of course. I often forget that there's like credits that are not in your credit pool, basically.
Right, there it is.
Yeah, there's the Kurupira.
Okay.
And
agenda's coming back to hand, or rather getting stolen here.
Yeah. At least Hermes is not bouncing anything.
True.
And Fire RL has to use all of the clicks here just to get into server 1.
Now, the question is,
Yeah,
did Fire actually remember that it's a skunk work?
Yeah, could. If you accidentally commit to access without popping your bankrolls, that's basically game. But I would assume he's just calculating the math here just to double check everything. Make sure every I has a dot and E has a line or something. I don't remember how the saying goes.
Yeah. Cross your P's. Colin is an incredibly calculated player. Played against him a few times and definitely takes his time to make sure that all lines are thought through.
Yeah, and like the games are not timed, so it's completely fair to make sure everything is correct here. I really just wonder what's on top of R&D if that's the line. Is it legit just like four operations and then one agenda? And then forget that it's May ability?
I suspect that at this point, if Colin really is thinking about this, that maybe did forget about the skunk.
Yeah, I think maybe like forgetting about is kind of reasonable. I think you have to think about so much stuff during the game. Yeah,
absolutely. Forget about things constantly.
And if you calculate that it's the void, you just cannot get. You still can get in though.
Yeah, you're getting in with void.
Yeah. It even doesn't really change your math at all.
No, this click needs to be run.
Undo click?
This click could be undo click.
Oh
no.
Best click in the game.
Seems good.
That
was a long time. I'm curious if it'll turn, sure.
But
what was the first click? Oh, install Kurapira.
Install Kurapira, yeah, like.
Respect. Always.
Yeah,
respect.
I guess you know every card in the table, but I'm not sure about that undo click, but I guess it's fine.
To say a bit of a friendly concerto. Let's go.
Getting a diesel, yeah. Good card.
Happening on stream. It's a concerto value. Reveals diesel.
It hits a diesel. Come on.
Classic.
Yeah, skunk.
Mm-hmm.
Repopping one of the bankrolls?
Yeah, I think probably definitely wants to have the money to be able to, steal, but then also trash the mana farm.
Of course.
I bet Colin would have loved to have seen literally any other value. There's also 2 mutual favors in the list. So, 0 wasn't I guess there's decent chance for hitting a 0 there. And I don't think he's seen it. Yeah, hasn't seen any other 0 costers.
I wonder if there is a line like they're just making Fire Aral uses all of the resources this turn, and now it's like triple install on server 1. Like if that's a brand, it's a huge stopping measure.
Right.
And now they just need to hope that R&D holds. Of course,
right.
Dier knows what's on top of the deck though.
Boom, look at this. D used Tranquility to draw a card. So maybe drew in, saw the cards from ADT, needed to draw there on the Tranquility. Or maybe just needed it for Void.
It could be that you need a Void thing. And still Bran is like massive here. There is 3 pinholes though in the deck. But which server you actually cannot really run any server with the pinhole though.
Only right now it's just pinhole HQ.
Just HQ. And that's still like -2 credits. Plus that what you need to use for trash. This game is going down to the wire.
This has been an awesome game, just back and forth. This is one of those games where not having redundant breakers creates these opportunities where PD can just and there we go. Interesting. We're saying let's get lucky and snipe something from R&D here. Bounce whatever's back to hand. Still needs to pick the 50-50 in terms of which card going to hand in the event of stealing an agenda here. But
yeah, but I think Dier has just seen like top 3 of the deck.
Yeah. Even if you've seen it though, there's a chance where,
I guess yeah, and yeah.
Increase in strength. We're going to see 3 here.
Do we see the Spin Doctor getting popped?
Good question.
No? Mavars first. It doesn't actually do anything here, but...
Yep, the only one who doesn't know. They don't know.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing it. Unseen, no access. Or no agenda. All right, 4 credits.
Yeah, they probably sigh a sign of relief. I don't see a way to get in here. No inside job. Like, imagine if the Concerto is an inside job in this deck.
Those board states might be nice. All right. D probably sighing a huge sigh of relief.
Yeah, I would assume so. I think I called this in the like prediction chart, so I'm happy with this result.
What a fascinating game. I want to see what
there's still. I still think Fire Arrow probably takes the chance on server 1. You just have to call it, like make the opponent have it.
Okay.
No, last turn.
Well, I think regardless, it's probably not going to matter.
I think you can just pick up the Manogram here. Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, that's... It might not still be the game, though. Oh, it is the game. Oh, yeah, it was Offroad Office, of course.
Wow.
Oh my
expertly
god.
played. That's
Oh my.
probably seeing that ADT and seeing off-world and ADT in the top 5 just must have been, I mean, being able to stare down those agendas, knowing that they're coming up and be able to like craft that line multiple turns in ahead, right? That's just absolute expert piloting from D there. That's super,
Yeah.
super giga brain. I just probably wouldn't have seen that line, and that was awesome. Yeah, truly. D say most interesting ADT they've ever seen, and yeah, I could probably confirm. Not even looking at the cards. Oh,
In
cool. We're getting
order.
them. Anoetic.
Uh-huh.
ADT. Mm-hmm. Off-world.
Mm. Yeah, so the idea probably was like install offroad on remote on server 1, make the opponent just have to run it, and then this turn go and build the server 1 with the ADT that you draw with a click.
Wow.
That line is so sick. What the fuck?
Very cool. I don't think I probably would have seen that.
Yeah, me neither. Like, oh my lord.
Wow. Super cool. Well done. Well deserved. That was sick. Okay. And that is 4 of the 5 games. D taking 2 off of Colin here, which puts SBT at 3 wins, advancing them to the finals, if I'm understanding this correctly, right?
Yeah, it's going to be grand finals, but SBT is continuing there, fighting against the winner of Unbanned Neurofire or NWE.
That's right. And Unbanned,
There's going to be some storyline building there with Lost Geek maybe playing against his own team.
Awesome.
I think
and what an absolute like banger of teams here in the end.
Yeah, like it's like best of the best, just continuing through here.
Battle of the Titans. Absolutely good. Great run, Mr. Muntal. Like awesome games. So close.
Yeah, like getting here, and Mr. Muntal has been fighting the most horrible matchups like in the entire tournament. First, fighting the Future Perfect plus Sokka, then fighting against Snarebears, and then against EA Sports. Such a horrible bracket compared to anybody else. Like, it's amazing that they still continue like this far. And just all of those games were so freaking close. Like every game. Maybe the Neras Hub game should not have been that close, but
yeah,
I
fantastic.
think we still should have one match still on stream. If you're okay continuing,
I'm not. I am absolutely tapping out here. Yeah. But thanks for hopping on today.
Yeah, I think I can probably continue. I can probably stream it. So
sounds good. Folks should hop over.
I'm going to set up it. Yeah. So.
All right, y'all.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody. Absolutely awesome semifinals, and best of luck to SBT in the finals. So take care, y'all.